Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Apostate Prophet. But before we start with the show, first off, I want to say welcome to everybody who is joining this fantastic stream. But before we proceed, before we go on, I want to give a quick content advisory. During this show, we might listen to some heightened tensions and some people discussing with each other in a rather disrespectful way, or some people might disagree with each other. Therefore, you might be triggered. So viewer discretion is advised.
No, hold on, Mr. Pompadour, Apostate Pompadour, whatever your stupid name is. That's not what we're gonna do here. We're gonna destroy Israel, plain and simple.
Yeah, that's what
We're gonna make them exit, stage left.
That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
Mr.
Borelli. Yeah, David, what's up? How you doing?
Hey, what's up?
Good. What's up?
How you doing?
All right. Everything's fine. Everything's cooking. So I guess we can start with the show. We can start with the show then.
Everything is beautiful in its own way.
Fantastic. All these beautiful songs came
Even
together.
a goat eating a Quran is beautiful.
It is indeed. So, yes, let us start with the show. Today we want to talk about Mehdi Hasan.
It's Mehdi. You see the H there?
Yeah.
Mehdi.
Like some people just say it like Mehdi, and then it sounds like Mehdi, and then it just sounds kind of like messed up and weird.
Yeah, it sounds perverted.
Yeah, so I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about Mehdi Hasan, which is the broadcaster, presenter, and article writer, and Israel hater, and very nice person overall. So let's look at that.
Hey, by the way, who is he? I mean, I've seen news clips with that dude before, but like, what is he? Is he like is he Muslim or like atheist or?
He's Muslim.
Any clues? He's like still considers himself Muslim.
What are you trying to insult? Are you insulting the guy? Are you saying like, how can you?
No, I'm just saying. I'm interested in what the guy's background is when he's saying all this stuff that you're about to show.
He is still a Muslim. I remember this clip from many years ago where he had a disagreement with Richard Dawkins about the the flying horse. I'm not sure if I can actually find the clip right now.
I mean, do you actually believe in your Muslim faith? Do you believe that Muhammad split the moon in two? Do you believe that Muhammad flew to heaven on a winged horse, for example? I pay you the compliment of assuming that you don't.
No, I do. I believe in miracles.
You believe that?
Yes.
You believe that Muhammad went to heaven on a winged horse?
Yes, I believe in God. I believe in miracles. I believe in revelation. I mean, the point here is that let's assume I'm wrong, Richard. I'm wrong. Let's assume I'm wrong. I'm wrong.
So there you have it. There you have your answer.
But what's interesting there is this is an issue that came up with your hero Apostate Aladdin and them saying, you guys make fun of Muhammad on a winged horse, but David also believes in miracle stuff. But that was Mehdi's response when defending Muhammad flying on a winged horse was, yes, I believe in God and I believe in miracles. But that's different from believing that particular story, which is extremely late.
Yeah.
And I would say very stupid. Like if you take it seriously, like the descriptions when Muhammad supposedly flies there, which again are way later, that is not what anything looked like during his time. So there's the story is super late. You don't find anything about it in the Dome of the Rock when the Dome of the Rock is made. So apparently it just doesn't exist as a story by then. It's a later fabrication inserted into the Quran. I mean, that you have the gist of going to the Al-Aqsa Mosque in the Quran. You don't have this winged donkey monster thing. And in context, sounds like it's about Moses. But so you've got the issue that one, it's a very late story. So even if you believe in the supernatural Mehdi, you don't have to believe in that particular story.
So what you're saying is that
later fabrication, even according to the story as we find it, Muhammad never left the room. So it's something in his head. He's not actually going out there. And then what he says he saw in his vision when he was taken there completely doesn't line up with what was actually there at the time.
Yeah,
multiple reasons to not trust this story, even if you believe that God can, heal your cousin or something like that.
And according to the narrative, it does say that Muhammad, and when he came back, his bed was still warm, although it is then there unclear if the warmth of the bed is from the fact that he was in his bed all along, or if he peed the bed.
Or if his goat kept it warm.
Maybe that might be true as well. But that is true. So that there is some ambiguity about that. So, but what you're saying, David, as far as I understand it, what you're saying is basically that the story of Muhammad flying, riding on the back of a horse, is more credible than Jesus ascending to heaven. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, and I'm saying, definitely. And then I'm saying that Mehdi here, if he wanted to defend, no, I understand he's kind of on the spot and Dawkins is pointing something out or something like that. I'm saying that is not a good defense of Muhammad flying his flying donkey monster.
Okay, you might just want to correct that response that you just gave me, because
I know what you did. I just agreed with you. I know what you did. I know you flipped it. You think I'm stupid? Come on.
Okay.
I take it back. The apostate prophet tricked me. No, I'm an apostate.
Yeah, so that's there you have your response. There you have your response. But today we want to look at Piers Morgan and his hosting of Mehdi Hasan.
Hey.
However, go ahead.
So you've got you came out with the apostate prophet, then there's like apostate Aladdin, and then you get all these apostate names. Is there an apostate king? Because that would be cool. Is there someone who's declared himself the apostate king?
Not yet.
Wouldn't that be cool?
The thing is, we have it in our doctrine that if somebody declares himself the apostate king, we will get together and kill that guy. So that's not a very easy claim to make.
I'm just saying, it's I would wonder, like, who's more of an authority, a king or a prophet?
Prophet, of course. Well, we still don't have apostate God, so that's also another thing. A position that is open still.
Apostate deity.
Apostate Allah. So I wonder if there's an apostate Aisha or something. I thought there was somebody who called herself apostate Aisha, and it was around for like a week or two and then quit. But anyway,
that's a good name though.
It is. So let us get to this beautiful discussion. But before we get into the discussion, now Mehdi Hasan has been quite sneaky over the last years.
And sneaky as Sneeko?
As sneaky as Sneeko and as slippery.
He's been more slippery than the lubricants that he sells in his daughter's sex shop.
However,
as slippery as Muhammad's garments after Dihya al-Kalbi pays him a visit.
Yes. However, he wasn't always like this. There was a time in his past where he was more honest about problems among Muslims. I want to have a very brief look before we continue to specifically those times. There is an article that recently came to my attention, which is written by Mehdi Hasan in 2013. He's here introduced as Al Jazeera English presenter, 2013. And the title of this article is "The Sorry Truth is that the virus of anti-Semitism has infected the British Muslim community." The subtitle is, "It pains me to have to admit this, but anti-Semitism isn't just tolerated in some sections of the British Muslim community, it is routine and commonplace. Any Muslim reading this article, if they are honest with themselves, will know instantly what I am referring to. It's our dirty little secret. You could call it the banality of Muslim anti-Semitism." It's already very, very problematic, right? The guy is already
2013
already saying any Muslim reading this article, if they are honest, he's saying any Muslim, if they are honest, will immediately know what I'm referring to. The anti-Semitism among us, among our Muslims. It is a banality of Muslim anti-Semitism. So he says it is among Muslims, and it has also reached the British Muslim community as well. But it gets worse. Most of the article talks about something that happened there at that time. I'm going to pretty much skip that and get to this relevant part. The article is not very long. It's relatively short. I'll get to a specific part and we'll only read that part. It pains me to have to admit this, but anti-Semitism isn't just tolerated in some sections of the British community, a British Muslim community. It is routine and commonplace. Any Muslim reading this article, if they are honest with themselves, will know instantly what I'm referring to. It's our dirty little secret. You could call it the banality of Muslim anti-Semitism. I can't keep count of the number of Muslims I have come across, from close friends and relatives to perfect strangers, for whom weird and wacky anti-Semitic conspiracy theories are
he said perfect strangers.
For a range of national and
now we do the dance
events.
of joy, die, 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 which would have a different meaning from jihadis. All right, because
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
if you keep doing these things, I will have no idea, and people will
Come
have
on,
no
this
idea
is
what
a serious topic, dude. No joke.
For whom weird and wacky anti-Semitic conspiracy theories are the default explanation for a range of national and international events. Who killed Diana and Dodi? The Mossad, say many Muslims. They didn't want the British heir to the throne having an Arab stepfather. What about 9/11? Definitely those damn Yehudis. Definitely those damn Yehudis. Damn Jews. I mean, why else were 4,000 Jews in New York told to stay home from work on the morning of 11th of September 2001? How about the financial crisis? Jewish bankers, obviously. Oh, and the Holocaust? Don't be silly. Never happened. He's just describing regular Muslim sentiments, regular Muslim conversations here in this article. Growing up, I always assumed that this obsession with the Jews was a hallmark of the first-generation immigrants from the subcontinent. In recent years, I've been depressed to discover that there are plenty of second-generation Muslim youths born and bred in multiracial Britain who have drunk the anti-Semitic Kool-Aid. I'm often attacked by them for working in the Jewish-owned media.
By the way, I mean, he's thinking, notice what his thinking was back then, that the second generation is going to integrate. Isn't it like the opposite? Isn't like aren't the second and third generations like becoming those who don't immigrate? Aren't they becoming like more radical than their parents and grandparents?
Yeah, there is a thing, there is a trend, which is that the second generation, the ones after the first generation, are more radical, more Islamic, more partisan towards the place of origin. And then I think that the theory is after that it starts normalizing as the generations integrate. But the second generation is usually worse than the first. The truth is that the virus of anti-Semitism has infected members of the British Muslim community, both young and old. No, the ongoing Israel-Palestine conflict hasn't helped matters, but this goes beyond the Middle East. How else to explain why British Pakistanis are so often the most ardent advocates of anti-Semitic conspiracies, even though there are so few Jews living in Pakistan? It is sheer hypocrisy for Muslims to complain of Islamophobia in every nook and cranny of British public life, to denounce the newspapers for running Muslim-baiting headlines, and yet ignore the rampant anti-Semitism in our own backyard. Say that again, Mehdi Hasan.
That is a rare ability in his community, the ability to spot blatant hypocrisy.
Yeah. We cannot credibly fight Islamophobia while making excuses for Judeophobia. This is the first time that I actually read somebody use this term.
Yeah, it didn't catch on.
Yeah. To be honest, I've always been reluctant to write a column such as this. To accuse my fellow Muslims of being soft on the scourge of anti-Semitism isn't easy. I feel as if I'm dubbing in the community, telling tales to the non-Muslim teacher. Nor do I particularly want to assist the English Defense League in its relentless campaign to demonize all Muslims everywhere as extremists and bigots. He's highlighting something very, very important here in this paragraph, which is when ex-Muslims come out and speak some of the truths about Islam and Muslim mentality, the things that we are taught, we are immediately attacked by Muslims, by traditional Muslims, by others, as traitors, bootlickers, people who turned on their own kind, on their own nation, and so on. Because in Islam, it is this whole dynamic that Muslims are a one nation, and the rest of the world is the other nation, and it is us against everyone else. And you are not supposed to just go out there and tell people what's actually happening in the Muslim community. If you do this, then this is really, really bad. And Mehdi Hasan at some point was openly here talking about some of these problems, about the anti-Semitism, for which he received a lot of criticism and for which many Muslims don't like him, still don't like him, for which many Muslims insulted him on October 7 because he condemned some of the things that happened. But imagine, I just want Mehdi Hasan to come out and repeat this here, that it is sheer hypocrisy to complain about Islamophobia while ignoring anti-Semitism among Muslims. We aren't, and we are not all anti-Semites, but as a community, we do have a Jewish problem. As a community, we do have a Jewish problem. There is no point pretending otherwise.
There's only one way to solve the Jewish problem.
That Bradford's Council for Mosque has been campaigning to save the city's last remaining synagogue from closure doesn't change the fact that thousands of British Muslims will have been nodding in agreement as they read Lord Ahmed's comments about Jewish power and influence, or will have assumed that the Times scoop is evidence in its own right of a Zionist plot, and so on. I'm also aware that this column will also be held up by some of my fellow Muslims as proof that Mehdi Hasan has sold out to the Jews. Anyway, I think that's where the relevant part stops. Oh, here. I agree with her, but what she omitted to mention and what we Muslims must now admit is that anti-Semitism passed the dinner table test in polite British Muslim society long ago. Anti-Semitism is normal among Muslims. It is common. It is everywhere. Mehdi Hasan, in this article from 2013, openly and clearly admits directly that Muslims have a huge anti-Semitism problem, that it is so common that every Muslim knows exactly what he's talking about, that those who pretend they don't know about it are basically not being honest, and that he is revealing the secrets of Muslims being extremely anti-Semitic. I wonder why he doesn't do this today. And this is very relevant because in his discussion that he just recently had with Piers Morgan, he talked about racism and all that. And I just want to go to him and remind him of this article that he wrote.
Well, I mean, obviously, there's nothing. His position here in 2013, there's nothing that's happened in the past 11 years that is going to change those views. It's not like, oh, yeah, you had a problem in 2013, but now there's no problem because everyone loves Jews now. It's not. It's obviously not going to. So anyway, he's got to have the same position.
Yeah. Some people are saying maybe he was just being nice here and betraying his fellow Islamists because he was trying to advance in his career or some stuff like that. I don't know. Could be anything. Nowadays, he acts like he never wrote such things. Let's see what we do.
That's a great question.
Are you ready, David? By the way, David, what do you know about anti-Semitism in Islam? Do you think Mehdi Hasan is right and Islam has a big Jew hatred problem, or do you think he's just full of it and he's lying about the Muslims?
No, Muhammad loved the Jews. Just look at the revelations he received when he was in Mecca before he actually moved and decided to slaughter them.
Oh, okay. Well, so that means there's no problem. So Mehdi Hasan was just lying. Okay, good, fantastic.
So short answer is I resign because I'm responsible for that.
But he's resigning?
In Israel, when that atrocity happens in Israel, What do you do?
Oh, the question is about if you are Netanyahu.
Do you
October 7th.
condemn? Do
What do you
you condemn Hamas?
No, if you are Netanyahu and your October 7th happens, what would you do? Let's see what he said.
That's a great question. So short answer is I resign because I'm responsible for that attack. I'm the one who botched security at the border. I'm the one who propped up Hamas with money from Qatar over the years and allowed them to be propped up as a way to divide the Palestinian people. I'm the one who's had millions of my own people on the streets for months protesting against my authoritarian.
This is very funny. What he's referring to is actually true. Netanyahu's government administration was allowing funds from Qatar to go to Hamas. This is I talked about this with so many people when I was in Israel, including with politicians who are close to Netanyahu, and everyone knows it. Everyone thinks it was a huge mistake. However, some people who don't really understand the topic are like, "What? You see, Israel was paying Hamas." No, that's not what was happening. What was happening is that Netanyahu and some people who supported him and his way of thinking adopted a policy of appeasing Hamas and allowing them to receive funds that are sent to them from Qatar, for example.
Because appeasement worked really well with people like Yasser Arafat and stuff. You keep these guys, you keep the money rolling in and stuff like that, then it works to your advantage in the.
Yeah, the hope was that as long as we let them have those funds that are sent to them by their allies and by their leaders, we might be able to reduce the brutal terrorist attacks and might be able to keep the peace and build. But obviously, it didn't work.
Yeah, so the idea in all of that is if the leaders, if everything sucks for everyone, they've got nothing to lose by just launching, constantly launching terrorist attacks. Whereas if they have money and are able to build up, then they've got something that, they've got something they don't want to lose. And so they're not going to be inclined to go messing around with someone who might bomb it. And didn't work. It's another valid point of, hey, there are people who are responsible for totally botching security on that day. And there, I think you could, when he's asked, hey, what should Netanyahu do? I think you could make the argument, hey, you've screwed up so royally. We don't trust whoever's in charge. And at the end of the day, if if it was his incompetence, because keep in mind, there are tons of people involved. And so you can point to a lot of people's incompetence. But if he's primarily the one who was most incompetent in that, then I think you can make a case. But with that said, he's also probably one of the most competent in hunting down and destroying Hamas. So it might be a situation where, okay, Netanyahu, you really screwed up. So go ahead and destroy Hamas, and then start looking for another job.
Yeah, it's you probably heard it too. Like I was having this discussion with lots of people there about Netanyahu and his role and what people think about him right now, and pretty much the general response from people is yes, Netanyahu. There's a lot that you can now say about Netanyahu and how his government and his system really messed up on October 7th, and we can all have these conversations. We can all demand that he leaves and this and this and that. However, right now is not the time because right now plunging the country into him resigning, putting somebody in its place, and so on. All of this will be an obstacle and will distract from what is happening right now, which is the war with Hamas. Right now, there is a war ongoing. The war has to be finished. The mission has to be accomplished. Hamas must be destroyed, must be forced to surrender. Once that happens, then they can get to talking about who is to blame, how to solve this problem, what to do instead. But I mean, right now, just forcing Netanyahu to resign in this environment, in the middle of this war, where most of the world, where half of the world is trying to attack Israel and trying to make Israel stop, would be a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. So I'm glad we're not listening to Mehdi Hasan here.
Reforms to the judiciary. So I have some shame, I have some self-respect, I have some honesty, and I say, I quit. Let someone else do this because I've failed for 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah, in the middle of the war, I quit and say, "Oh, let someone else do this." Yeah, great idea, man.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. Did you see that? Did you see that Netanyahu clip that came out like 2 days? That was the most brutal thing I've ever seen in my
I
life.
did.
He
It
was
was in
like
English, wasn't it?
he was like Clint Eastwood at the end of Unforgiven. Right. Well, you
It
don't
was
even
in English, right?
no, it had subtitles. And the one I saw, it had
Oh, really?
had English
Oh.
subtitles. Yeah, you probably didn't see Unforgiven, but yeah, Clint Eastwood comes out there and he goes, "All right, I'm coming out. Any man I see, I'm gonna kill him. Any one of you takes a shot at me, I'm not only gonna kill him, I'm gonna kill all his friends, burn his house down." Right. So he goes off like that's what he was like. It's like Hamas, all you politicians telling us we need to stop what we're doing, we need to cease fire, we need elections. We're not listening to any of you. We're not backing out of this fight until we have achieved our objectives, and our objectives are getting all our people back and destroying Hamas. We're not stopping. We don't care how much you guys cry. We're not stopping until we've done those things.
This is what we're talking
And
about. Right?
that's pretty hardcore.
Marina
that the one?
Medvin put it as this is a very gently phrased F off. I think this is it. Yes, let's see.
מאז תחילת המלחמה אנחנו נלחמים בשתי חזיתות, בחזית הצבאית ובחזית המדינית. בחזית המדינית הצלחנו עד היום לאפשר לכוחותינו להילחם באופן חסר תקדים במשך 5 חודשים מלאים. אבל אין זה סוד שהלחצים הבינלאומיים נגדנו מתגברים.
He looks tired, man. I don't know if it's just the aging, but his eyes look very tired.
Oh, he's old. This guy's been around for a while, man.
Yeah, yeah.
יש מי שמנסים לעצור את המלחמה עכשיו, לפני השגת כל יעדיה. הם עושים זאת על ידי הטחת האשמות שווא נגד צה"ל, נגד ממשלת ישראל ונגד ראש ממשלת ישראל. הם עושים זאת על ידי מאמץ להביא לבחירות עכשיו בעיצומה של המלחמה. ואת זה הם עושים, כי הם יודעים שבחירות עכשיו יעצרו את המלחמה וישתקו את המדינה לפחות ל6 חודשים. אז שיהיה ברור, אם נפסיק את המלחמה עכשיו, לפני השגת כל יעדיה, המשמעות היא שישראל הפסידה במלחמה.
This is very crucial, exactly. Him resigning and trying to bring up about an election, changing things right now, bringing politics into it, will stop the war. If the war stops right now, then this will mean Israel has lost the war. That's what he's basically saying.
That is correct. That is correct, sir. I do want to point out this man is 74 years old, and he is looking really good and energetic for being 74 years old. I hope that I am this energetic at 74 years old. This is all, of course, response to AP's anti-Semitic claim that he looks old and tired.
No, it's
you said all Jews look old and tired, and now I'm just responding saying no, he doesn't.
All Jews look old and tired.
Oh, by the way, Black Angel messaged us and said,
I love this guy's voice. I always
I do. I loved it.
He has the best voice. He's like, when he speaks, he dominates the room, and like I don't have to agree with his politics overall at all, but it's just he has something.
And it's crazy, just the power of his voice. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which U.S. president is there or whatever. He's like, listen, Mr. President, let me go ahead and tell you how the world actually works here. And the guy just sits there like a school child listening. Oh, okay. Is that how it works?
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, a Black Angel messaged us and said something that's relevant for, because I didn't see the beginning there, but she said that what Mehdi was actually asked was, if you were the prime minister, what would you do? But then he twisted it into, if I were Netanyahu, what would I do? In other words, so she's saying Piers was actually asking, hey, if you were in charge, what would you do? And then he twisted it into something about Netanyahu. So he's saying, hey, because that's something that you and I have brought up dozens and dozens of times. Hey, dozens and dozens of times we pointed out that if you're saying Israel's doing something wrong, what are you saying they should do? Tell us exactly what they should be doing differently.
Okay, what
that
if
is not
Angel
insane?
Is telling us the truth?
That's true. That's true. You can't trust her. She's a woman.
America, I could see what happened with you, and we'll come to that.
What's up with his eyes?
Later. But first of all, how are you enjoying?
Wait, this is not the part. Get out of here.
How are you enjoying Ramadan feast
I
day.
want you to imagine, and it's a bit of a leap, I admit, but I want you to imagine that you are the Prime Minister of Israel when that atrocity happens in Israel. What do you
She's
do?
right.
That's a great question. So
That's
short
that is clearly asking him what should be done. What should be done? Not imagine you're Benjamin Netanyahu. Right.
Yeah.
So
But
anyway,
you could still twist that into assuming that it happens. That means that I did let it happen. I messed up, but he does indeed answer the question as if he was Netanyahu, specifically talking about Netanyahu, and that is kind of the question is twisted here. Yeah.
yeah, because guess what? I mean, I'm interested in what Mehdi and anyone else, even the Dawa guys, I'm interested in what they actually would answer that. Given the goal of stopping Hamas from launching future terrorist attacks and getting hostages back, what should Israel be doing differently? What? And
Exactly.
invariably, all their stupid suggestions would mean that you don't get your hostages back and don't defeat Hamas. And so it's okay. Guess what? What you're saying would not work for what we're trying to do here.
Yeah. Black Angel points out he clearly avoided the question on purpose, and I trust Black Angel's judgment. So I would have to agree here.
That makes one of us.
Yeah.
מה עכשיו? לפני השגת כל יעדיה, המשמעות היא שישראל הפסידה במלחמה. ואת זה לא נאפשר. לכן אסור לנו להיכנע ללחצים הללו, ולא ניכנע להם. להפך, האמת הפשוטה הזאת רק מחזקת את הנחישות שלנו, להדוף את הלחצים ולהמשיך להילחם עד הסוף.
Fighting to the end. Total victory.
This is the thing.
No international pressure.
Lots of people on social media are acting like, oh, Israel is under pressure, and of course we will force them to quit and this and that. The way it looks like right now, with the Israeli government and the Israeli public in general, the way it looks like right now is Israel doesn't care about all of the noise that is going on right now.
Yeah.
They are very, very much focused on something right now, on what they have in mind, what they have on their minds right now is, yes, okay, we appreciate help, we appreciate support, we appreciate solidarity, but you know what? This is our darkest moment. This was our darkest moment, and we're not going to trust, people's pressure right now. We have a task in front of us in response to something horrible that was done, and we will go and we will finish it. You can cry and you can scream and you can protest and you can march as much as you want. We don't care. That's Israel's attitude right now, and it should be. That's how it should be.
I agree.
That is exactly how it should be.
And as we pointed out a number of times, you can definitely point to things and say, hey, that was messed up. Hey, you should have been more careful there. As far as their overall staying laser focused on those two things, we're getting our hostages back and we're destroying Hamas. Absolutely correct. And anyone who says they should be doing something otherwise, I would say is actually encouraging terrorism and future violence and keeping the cycle of violence going forever. And so I wouldn't trust you. But yeah, their attitude seems to be, complain all you want. And if you hate us, then you hate us. But you're not stopping us. Yep. And that is the Dawa / college protester, like complete nightmare situation. Everyone's used to whining and getting their way. They're used to whining and getting this guy canceled, or they're whining and get this shut down, or they're whining and get this, this video taken. So hey, sitting around whining and throwing tantrums works. And it does in most Western nations right now. It looks like it's not working with Israel. And so it's just going to be this hilarious situation of, well, we'll whine louder then. Okay, well, we'll whine even louder than that then. What? And if they're just not listening, like, what are you guys going to do? What are you guys going to do? Oh, we're not going to eat your dates. Yeah, we're not going to eat those dates anymore. Yeah, because they's Israeli dates. Oh, yeah, that's going to break their will, dummy.
This is Israel right now.
I'm here to tell you right now,
We don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
So yeah.
I also like the way Stephen A. Smith talks. And I will tell you about my Steelers.
Yeah.
מי לא יעצור אותנו לממש את כל מטרות המלחמה. חיסול החמאס, שחרור כל חטופינו, ולהבטיח שעזה לא תהווה עוד איום נגד ישראל.
Boom! Exactly what your goals are supposed to be.
That's a highlight right there.
Laser focus. Laser
Right there.
focus.
Eliminating from never ensuring that Gaza never again constitutes a
That's
threat
goal
to
3.
Israel.
That's goal 3.
Never again. In
Yeah,
my
so-
opinion, the most important one.
So, yeah, I was describing the goals as 1, get your hostages back, 2, destroy Hamas. But yeah, guess what? You could destroy Hamas and Gaza is still a threat because there will be other groups that are, well, there are other groups there, but other groups will rise in that vacuum of power to seize control and by vowing to destroy Israel. So he's saying, no, it's another goal is even after Hamas is destroyed, we're making sure these guys never are a threat to us again.
Exactly. You know that there's a whole the whole idea of Zionism, the whole idea of establishing Israel, right? If you go into the early works on modern Zionism, or into Zionism in its formation, the foundation of Israel and the reasoning that the founders had, and so on, and the way the message of Zionism is generally delivered today, the entire point of it rests on certain important points, certain important foundations. One of those is, as Jewish people, we did live in different places and we have been at the mercy of others. And there was a constant threat of being exploited at some point, or being, attacked and kicked out, and we were forced to move or die, and this and that. Now, just think about that principle. Just think about that whole idea, that whole reasoning. On October 7, Israel was attacked in the most brutal way. It was worse than 9/11 to Israel.
Way worse.
Than 9/11 was to the U.S. And Israel is now fighting a war in response to that, to finish this problem once and for all. And some people around the world are like, oh, let's put pressure on Israel. Let's put pressure to stop them. I'm sorry, the entire idea here is we will not be at the mercy of others. We will take care of ourselves. Mm-hmm. So do people really think that with this idea, with that spirit, Israel is going to just give in now and stop and be again at the mercy of others? No, Israel has been at the mercy of others. And to be honest, even this government and others, especially those prior to Netanyahu's government, have listened to the world necessarily to slow down, to make compromises here and there. And it brought nothing but trouble. I'm pretty sure that nobody in Israel wants to be at the mercy of others and give in to pressure right now. Israel is united in the war that they are fighting, and they have every right to do that. And all those people who are crying around the world, who think they're loud because they're marching outside because they don't have a job, or because they can go on social media and can tweet something instead of making dance videos on TikTok.
I'm making a difference. I'm making a difference.
Nobody cares.
Yep.
Nobody cares.
And dude, I mean, think about it. At the end of the day, when the dust has cleared, and I mean literally, because there's going to be a lot of dust from places that are destroyed because Hamas is still hiding with the hostages and so on. When the dust actually settles, we can all sit back and say, what did any one of these college protests do to actually help the people of Gaza? What did any of these Dawa clowns actually do to help the people of Gaza? Nothing. You helped destroy the place by encouraging terrorists to think they can actually get away with it.
Yeah. We'll always recommend this book, especially since I met Einat Wilf. The book is by Adi Schwartz and Einat Wilf, The War of Return, How Western Indulgence of the Palestinian Dream Has Obstructed the Path to Peace. is a fantastic work specifically focused on this whole issue, on that very, very problem. So I would always recommend looking into it. Instead of helping, much of the world is just making everything worse for everyone involved.
עוד איום נגד
Yeah. Let's see.
ישראל. כדי לעשות זאת, נפעל גם ברפיח.
There you go.
Ouch.
There you go. See? So for weeks now, they were like, no, not Rafah. No, don't do this. No, this will be the end.
That's what I mean. He comes out and just to be clear, we're going to Rafah. We're going all the way up into Rafah. And we're going to go house by house looking for every Hamas jihadi there is right there in Rafah. And if you don't like it, cry us a river.
Yes.
Cry us a river from the river to the sea.
נפעל גם ברפיח. זאת הדרך היחידה לחסל את שארית גדודי המרצחים של החמאס, וזאת הדרך היחידה להפעיל את הלחץ הצבאי הדרוש לשחרור כל חטופינו.
Yeah. So this is the gist of it. Is there anything else that you were pointing out here, or
the whole speech was dope. It's like short, it's just concise and just completely brutal, a brutal rebuke to everyone who thinks their whining is going to keep these guys from going after Hamas.
You know what I find so funny? How terrible the functionality of videos is on X, which is supposed to be
pretty common for videos to suck.
הם אלה שמהווים סכנה לאזור ולעולם כולו. אנחנו בכל מקרה נעמוד מול כל הלחצים.
Any pressure.
נמשיך להילחם יחד עד לניצחון המוחלט.
Total victory.
תודה לכם.
Victory.
We will resist any pressure, no matter how many college students cry. Wow.
Reminds me of Churchill's victory. Victory at all costs. Yeah.
And what was that FDR clip you played one time? They asked for it and now they're going to get it.
Yes.
That's brutal, man.
Oh man.
About the scale of Israel's response. And that's really what I guess my going Hamas is not do that. And interestingly, although the majority of Israelis would like him to go, they also want him to finish the job in destroying Hamas. There's not much ambiguity in terms of how is
this is such a weird thing to bring up, by the way. Majority of Israel has a democratic system, like European countries, like most of them. Approval for the current prime minister will always be below 50%. It is like because there are many parties that then unite and form blocks to make up a government and an opposition and another opposition and so on. It is never expected that. In fact, it is expected that in a functioning system, in such a system, one party or one side shouldn't have more than 50% approval. It's supposed to be like that. So saying that the majority would probably want him to go is a very weird thing to say right now.
Israelis feel about the mission plan. But there's obviously a lot of concern mounting around the world about the scale of Israel's response. And that's really what I guess my question was alluding to.
Yes.
I'll be honest, I've said this a lot on my Uncensored show, that I felt a real moral quandary. You know, I can go back over tweets I've done back in 2014 where I said that Israel's response to provocation by Palestinians at the time was bordering on terrorism.
What are you yapping about, mate? Amit Yanuka said Gaza equals North Korea. No, Gaza. The problem with this comparison is, yes, North Korea is a terrible place, and North Korea is ruled by a very, very sick guy and a very sick ideology. But the issue is North Korea is actually poor, and people actually have terrible living standards because North Korea doesn't have supplies, doesn't cultivate anything, doesn't get anything. Whereas Gaza was getting handouts every day, every moment, the entire time, and even according to Gazans themselves, who make videos about it right now, it was a It was a great place to live. It was the best open air prison in the world.
And imagine if the world were different, and because keep in mind, like most people don't have a super favorable view of North Korea, where you got all these total dopes supporting Hamas. But imagine that North Korea was being encouraged by college students around the world to go and slaughter everyone in South Korea and take it over, and they were just encouraging them to do that. It'd be a pretty messed up situation.
Yeah,
but that's what you have with Gaza.
Yes. with Gaza. Haxitas Kuritas says, LOL, the pork sausages of those who disbelieve among the people of the scripture will abide in the fire of grill. They are the worst of creatures.
I didn't think it was funny until I saw the worst of creature, the worst of creatures.
The worst of creatures. That's
the worst. They're the bratwurst of creatures.
That's good. I haven't seen you make a super chat in a long time, Haxitas Kuritas. Did you just want to come back and make a super chat because of this joke? If so, that's very, very, very good. I applaud you and salute you. That was a nice one. Beatrice, the specificity. Oh, no.
If the specificity continues as it is.
It's too pleasant. Don't do this right now. I'm trying to focus. Don't say specificity. It's such a beautiful word. Gorno is bulldozer said, not gonna lie, I first said it as a joke, but now I'm genuinely curious. If I were to meet an attractive female alien, would I have to wait till marriage? Yeah. Yes. Yes, that's David's response too. Stefan the Pellet said, Mehdi bleeds the goat up.
Mehdi.
Apostate Boohoo says, David, what if Mehdi Hasan joins the stream and sees you ask if he still considers himself a Muslim? That may insult him and make him want to leave.
That is a concern. My biggest concern in life is the feelings of Mehdi Hasan. And so...
Viewer discretion advised, Mehdi Hasan. If you're here, viewer discretion is advised. And I know you're watching this. Mehdi Hasan. I know it. Because you have recently adopted my vernacular. You have been saying hello, and only I say hello too. This was basically the reasoning of Mohammed Hijab arguing that certain people are watching his live streams. Like Joe Rogan is watching his live streams because he recently said a word that Mohammed Hijab also says. These people are random Muslim apologists. These are the average Muslim apologists. They're insane. ES 1002 said, I wish I had a girl like Sulaim, Muslim 2332. And David is looking that up right now.
Yeah, that's the one where Sulaim took Muhammad's sweat and used it as put it in a perfume and bottles.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. Abu Bakr says, is Muhammad arguing with Allah about praying 5 times a day just a ripoff of Abraham bargaining with God over the fate of Sodom? Any other plagiarism? That's one theory I've heard.
It's pretty clear because it's the exact same thing as far as what about 50? No, there's too many. What about 45? And yeah, negotiates the way down. So you see this a lot. And not just with like Old Testament stuff, but New Testament stuff. We're talking like even stuff from like the Apostle Paul and stuff. You'll see very clear parallels that indicate that Muhammad was drawing on this stuff.
Yeah. Did you see these reactions from?
What's that? Oh yeah, I saw that.
From people in Gaza getting aid and then complaining.
What's crazy is they're complaining about MREs. I grew up on those things. My dad would steal cases of them off the base and leave cases of those for me for when no one's around, and I could just eat those. What? I pay for
that. Yeah, so they're getting MREs.
The beef stew was good. If they're the same as when I was growing up, the beef stew was good. I did not like the omelet. Crackers were fine. Peanut butter. Yeah, you had to add some like oil to it or something like that because it would be anyway.
Wow, you see the reactions from people. Yeah, let them see it because People are being given humanitarian relief. America goes there and drops MREs, which are given to which soldiers.
This is exactly
take
what
with them when
soldiers.
they
This
go
is
on mission.
exactly what soldiers eat. Yeah,
Soldiers go on a mission and take this with them, and it is sufficient for them. It is not meant to be a long-term, like what you eat every
yeah. You're not
day.
eating this for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
but here's some
you're
stuff.
eating this, but
You got
this
peanut
is
butter
it,
and crackers
it
and
feeds you throughout the day. Yeah,
yeah, but I mean, think these are the guys we're told are starving. Give an MRE to an actual starving person and watch. He'll be very appreciative. This guy is
the northern part of Israel. That's where most of their traffic. And then all the airstrikes that they also hit us with. So I wondered what's in it. It comes for free, but at the end we still have to buy it. Let's see what's in it. So starts with the top crackers, and then
been there.
applesauce, and then oh wow, gum. Wallah بالهم فايق راجل. What's this? This is like some, I don't know. We don't see these here. And energy bar. This is the most thing I'm excited to have.
look at this one thing he appreciates. Yeah,
Energy bar.
look what it says. Was most excited to try this. Turned out to be being so bad. 1 out of 10. That's what he wrote afterwards.
He gave it a rating.
Yeah.
Again, this is not the reaction of starving people, folks. That's the only point to go here. An actual starving person would be happy with the crackers. Would be ecstatic with applesauce.
One of the worst meals I've ever had. I literally ate a piece of everything because, and imagine I'm fasting all day, hungry, haven't eaten anything, and then I came to eat this. Nothing tastes good. Only the peanut butter.
Nothing. I really want to say,
if you're focused on how things taste, you're not starving. I'm just leaving it at that. You're not starving.
imagine such a population that gets handouts for their entire existence already before a war. That doesn't work. More than half the population is unemployed. Not by force, by the way. Not because they have to be unemployed. More than half the population is unemployed. Most of the focus is on ideology and hate on we will fight and we will take this land that we never even had to begin with. But at least we were told that we had it like 100 years ago. That's the focus. Trucks come in every day and give you free stuff. They give you handouts. In response, you still curse those people who give you the handouts. Then you go and fight
because they're
you
not good
applaud-
enough.
you
We deserve
applaud a
better. We deserve
terrorist
better handouts.
organization. You have a terrorist organization that you applaud that goes and attacks the very people who actually take care of you and rapes them and brutalizes them. You applaud this. You're like, yes, 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 we love it. We love it. Despite all of this, you are not being indiscriminately bombed and targeted. You are also being given more aid by uninvolved parties that drop food on you, which their own soldiers eat, by the way, when they go on missions. And you sit there after all of this and like, what is this? Doesn't even taste good. Sorry, just go fuck yourself. Don't eat anything.
Yeah. As if someone's ever been actually like, I don't mean starving. So like, even if I fasted, the most I ever fasted was 12 days. I was on nothing but water. But after 10 days, you're not starving. You're still not starving. Your body, you're not actually in a position of starving. You're just really hungry. But after 10 days or 5 days of not eating, anything you taste is the best thing you've tasted. You take a bite of grits or a bite of eggs. I mean, like dehydrated crap, jail eggs. It's the best thing you've ever tasted in your life. And this guy's sitting here, dude, what are you expecting the U.S. to drop at like what, a giant vat of hummus and kebabs or something. There's a reason you send MREs. They're made to be stored and transported. They have to fly these across. They're not sending you fresh produce across the ocean and then dropping and stuff like this. These are meant to be dropped. And if you can store some, you can store some, and they last a long time. You can eat these years from now. No concept. I mean, this all ties into this Islamic mindset of the entire world is supposed to be serving them and they're superior, and they're supposed to be living like kings, and the rest of us are all supposed to be their servants. And here you're giving us these handouts. It's not enough. You should be bowing at our feet and giving us delicious steaks and feeding us and wiping our mouths for us and sucking on our fingers.
Yeah. That is true. Anyway, that makes me want to say, why even give anything? But then I know that sounds really bad. So
it does, because that should be okay. Fine, we'll stop dropping them. And yeah, get back to us a month from now. Tell us in a month from now if you want them.
And to be honest, the way the situation looks right now, we don't have any evidence that if you stopped dropping them, that there would actually be starvation. There simply is no. I haven't seen evidence of that.
If I were in charge of this, I'd be like, because of what that guy said right there. See, this guy put his face all over everything. That's why we're stopping dropping aid until you guys tell us that this guy's a moron and you don't agree with him. That's how I roll. The Dizzle plan.
There was a UN report ongoing. I think it has not been finalized yet, to analyze at what stage the situation in terms of nutrition is in Gaza. If there is a result of that, I would like to look at it.
I have somebody who, when I was editor of the Daily Mirror, opposed the Iraq War before, during, and after very vociferously. And I think that aged pretty well, that campaign. I'm somebody that when the Qatar World Cup happened, I sprang to the...
By the way, something that many people don't know...
Let me run through how great I am. Go ahead.
Something that many people don't know is that the Palestinian territories, according to the HDI, Human Development Index, have been consistently better in terms of living standards than half the world. Just so you know, people treat it like right now, because of how loud Muslims are about this conflict, people treat it like it's the worst place in the world to live. No, it's actually better than some of its neighboring countries that are totally free, and better than half the world. And in fact, living standards have consistently been better than in South Africa, which is the very country that is taking Israel to court to allege that they are treating Gaza like slaves or lesser people or something like that, some fantasy world.
Their living standards seem better than my trailer park that I grew up in.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say it. You don't hear me whining.
Probably, it's probably true. Probably true. In fact, the ratings, it was on rank. What was that? It was like in the middle among all the countries in the world.
Weren't they way up there as far as like the fattest people in the world as well?
Yeah, they have obesity is over 50%, and Human Development Index. Wait, there was something else. There was something else. I'm trying to remember something very, very crushing, which I forgot. Human Development Index ranks countries by 3 grades, and the Palestinian territories are actually ranked high in terms of Human Development Index.
Just like prison.
High living standards. Not because they are doing anything great, but because handouts. What do you want me to say? This is just the truth. Knox says, I believe in miracles. Mehdi Hamas, I believe in miracles. Yeah.
I believe in miracles. You sexy thing.
Mr. Meg says, yeah, 1 hour early. It's only just after 2 a.m. here. Is that a daylight saving wasting thing or change in sky? Yes, it is. In America, we have the daylight savings time change, which you don't have over there in Israel and most of the world yet. That's why.
Yeah, it's a stupid garbage system.
Yes. So we are 1 hour early compared to many other countries, which will only change in like a week or so.
Yeah, there's always a spike. There's always a spike in car accidents right when they do it because people lose an hour of sleep and then
Nice.
it's like why?
Nice. That's a
There
good thing.
there was a reason for it back in the day where you had to shift the clock because farmers are have to work and they need the daylight and stuff like that. And okay, you don't need that anymore.
Proud of that.
Yeah.
Defense of Qatar's right to host the World Cup and expose a lot of West.
Yeah, we know. You're a great person. Shut up.
Let me tell you how great I am.
I mean, about the things I condemned and
Israel could have responded in a particularly different manner to the way that Netanyahu was the Prime Minister of Israel. It's very, very difficult to know how any Prime Minister of Israel could have responded in a particularly different manner to the way that Netanyahu did. Putting aside all the reasons that you say he should have resigned, and by the way, I broadly agree with them.
So,
in terms of the Israel people, the Prime Minister at the time, the response to what happened that day was going to always have to be enormous, wasn't it?
So you're right in terms of the emotional response. It was going to be enormous. And I would take us back to 9/11, Piers. You mentioned Iraq. After 9/11, there was an emotional response in the US that something had to be done, right? There's the famous Yes Minister dialogue. Something has to be done. This is something, let's do it. And we invaded Afghanistan, which didn't solve the problem of terrorism, made it worse, punished innocent people who had nothing to do.
Oh yeah, should it have been done? Afghanistan was totally necessary. I mean, it didn't go great, but Afghanistan was the country where the Taliban was in charge, and the Taliban was harboring and collaborating with Al Qaeda, with Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, and that's a different. I mean, the United States is powerful enough that if they had wanted to destroy the Taliban the way Israel wants to destroy Hamas, they could have done it. I mean, you'd have to go up into some caves, and it's going to be really, really messy. You could get the job done. No one wants to do that anymore in the world, except Israel is willing to do it. But Israel's in a very different place in that it's a very small area with a bunch of terrorists hiding. And so it's still messy because you have lots of civilians and so on there, and because you've got hostages there. But yeah, I mean, Afghanistan is a really huge place. So, and the only thing is here, Israel is entirely capable of achieving every goal it has set out right now. If you've got a 9/11 attack and you've got the entire world where people may be hiding and all kinds of people collaborating and so on, anything you do is going to be a pretty messy job, and it's not clear that you're actually going to be successful in whatever you're trying to do. Israel can crush Hamas. They can.
There is a thing. Gaza is naturally, in terms of landscape and all that, probably much easier to operate than Afghanistan, which is full of mountains and hills and caves and holes everywhere where terrorists can hide. Which is why
we didn't have any caves, so we built some.
Yeah, and what Hamas did in Gaza is to just turn this whole place that is small and that can easily be operated on into a densely populated place where they built an underground tunnel system, which is so intricate and so big and so rich. They could have spent all of that money, all of those resources into building something good for the future, for the people, but no, that's not what they care about. That comes from the handouts. What they care about is fighting. Capturing Kafir said, "Shame on you. The Prophet's garments were not slippery. The semen would have made them crusty. Wallahi, the Kafir cannot even grasp simple facts." Yeah, there you go. There you have it.
Yeah, there's that hadith where the dude spends the day over at Aisha's house, and then she gives him a blanket, and then he says he had a wet dream, aka he was whacking off after seeing hot Aisha. So this guy goes and whacks off and gets it all over the blanket, and then he tries to wash it, and then Aisha flips out on him. "Why, you ruined the blanket by washing it. You should have just scratched it off with your fingernail." Like, who wants to use this blanket after a dude when he scratches the dried semen off with his fingernail? Oh, now
I know this very well.
I'm going to
because
be in
I
that
do this
blanket
all the time.
She is the expert. She is the ultimate semen scratcher.
Yeah, I always scratch the semen of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. Yes. Abu Bakr said AP David Wood favorite musical. I usually hate musicals. I never liked them. However, I love Fiddler on the Roof and I love The Sound of Music. Yeah.
I've always hated musicals and refused to see them.
Same. See,
there was one I saw that I mean, apart from if you could go back to The Wizard of Oz, I liked that. But gosh, there was one. There were cool scenes from like Singing in the Rain. I don't think I've ever actually watched it. There were some cool scenes in Mary Poppins, but there was one that I saw and I was actually shocked. And I was like, wow, this is a musical. And I liked, oh, The Sound of Music. Sound of Music was banging.
It was amazing. No, that was very, very nice. Yeah, David hasn't seen Fiddler on the Roof because he doesn't like Jews. I told him that he should. Maybe he can change his mind then and start liking Jews. It's also what made me like Jews.
Little Shop of Horrors is okay. Star is Born in its various iterations okay.
I haven't seen most of the musicals that are going around that people know. You know what's funny? I hated musical moments so much that even when I was a little child and I would watch Disney movies with all the kids and they would start singing, I would be like, oh, okay, I'm out of here.
Yeah, there's a famous there was a Saturday Night Live clip where Norm Macdonald, he's with one gang, the Cobras, and then they hear that the other gang is approaching. So it's like a West Side Story gang musical and stuff. But then one of the guys starts singing, and like Norm's the only guy who's not in on it. He's like, what's going on there? What did you just start singing? And anyway, it keeps escalating with singing more and more, and he's confused the entire time as to how everyone is singing and dancing together.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah. Plus, music is haram. Knox said, "Did y'all see Sneeko get trounced at Speaker's Corner yesterday?" David was telling me something about it.
I have not seen it. Your wife shared the clip, but then a bunch of people started sharing other stuff from Sneeko. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Rejoice tomorrow. That's what we're going to be covering Sneeko tomorrow on my channel.
Rejoice. Okay.
With 9/11, and you'll remember both parties in the United States supported going into Afghanistan. Only one member of Congress, not Bernie Sanders, Barbara Lee of California, voted to oppose that war. 2 decades on, many people would say she was vindicated, even though she was an isolated voice and she was going against a tidal wave of opinion from liberals and conservatives. Said we have to do something, and I get that. After an atrocity happened.
Well, is he saying that the war altogether shouldn't have happened? That's, of course, maybe as a Muslim he would say that. Yeah.
Happens, people want to do something. But the best leaders, the most strategic leaders, the most moral leaders are the ones who can take a pause, take a breath, and say, are we going to make the situation better or worse? Are we striking out strategically or just for the sake of vengeance and revenge? And you talk about Israelis having to do this. Look, they didn't have to do.
Shut up, man.
Yeah, that's terrible. What's he saying? Yes, and the best leaders, the one that could sit back and pause.
The best leaders just write a tweet in response to a terrorist.
Yeah, sometimes it's not the time to just sit back and
if you guys attack and rape our guys, then you guys will be bombed. So that's that. You know, there's no room for strongly worded letters or tweets, Mehdi Hasan. And right now, Hamas will be bombed too until they're done.
Devil's advocate, and you might think I'm literally playing devil's advocate, but I'm going to play it anyway, which is. All that is true. The death toll is horrific. The percentage of children being killed is horrific. But I would say, as a caveat to this, that if you think about it from the Israeli perspective,
allegedly, by the way,
you've got 35,000 Hamas terrorists, and we'll come to whether you think they're terrorists or not in a moment. But you've got 35,000 Hamas soldiers, warriors,
freedom fighters,
description you want to call them, depending on whose side you're on, and they are embedded amongst a civilian population where half that population is under 18. How else do you get rid of Hamas if you don't go about it in the blunt, brutal manner that Israel is doing? And if you do it the way they're doing it, how do you avoid the kind of casualty rate of people under 18, given that that's half the population?
I'm really curious if he will give an actual response.
He's not. And if he does, I haven't watched this. If he does, it's going to be the most insane, idiotic nonsense I've ever heard in my life.
So, 3 things very briefly. Number 1, you do it by not deliberately targeting civilian targets and schools and hospitals and cemeteries and mosques and universities and churches. You don't have snipers shooting at hospitals or Christian women inside a church. That's how you avoid the casualties.
Okay, hasn't been done, so continue.
Number two, I don't accept the premise of your question that this is the way to defeat Hamas. I think even if I'm an Israeli hawk, I criticize
You idiot, the guy asked you what the solution is.
Netanyahu and say, this is not the way to defeat Hamas. This is actually absurd to think you can defeat Hamas in this way. We have countless episodes from history.
No, that's exactly how you defeat Hamas. What Israel is doing is exactly now.
Why is this guy not answering the question?
Yeah, there's a negative side in that lots of people are going to be against you and that there are going to be lots of civilian casualties and so on. But no, this is exactly how you destroy Hamas.
But he's just not answering the question.
And he's a dope for saying stupid stuff.
We have countless episodes from history that show us this is not how you defeat a guerrilla movement, a resistance movement, a terror group, as you say, whatever word you want to use. In fact, you have Israeli generals.
If you have them cornered, it's exactly how you destroy them. If they were out in the woods, somewhere in the mountains, and you could not find them and could not get to them and so on, and they could just wear you down over time, that's one thing. If you have them surrounded on one side by water and surrounded on every other side by fences and walls, you know exactly where they are, and you can keep hunting them.
Alhamdulillah. Wait a minute.
This guy's a dummy. He doesn't like. I'm not a professional war expert, but I know more than this dude.
I am a professional war expert. I just turned on subscriber mode. I'm sick of stupid trolls.
What's that? Whoa, what's that mean? Only subscribers can post dumb comments?
Yes.
This can't be done in this way. And number three, look, the reality is Hamas is a symptom of the problem. As long as you treat Hamas as the problem rather than as a symptom of the problem, you're never going to get rid of Hamas. Or if you do, by some fantasy means, get rid of Hamas, you'll just get another version of Hamas. Because
I agree.
you've got tens of thousands of orphans. You've got people who've lost their kids, their spouses, their siblings. What?
Look at this. Look at this. It is 9:53, 9 minutes and 53 seconds. This section began at 8 minutes. Let me replay Pierce's question one more time.
It's a very simple question.
Okay, let him speak.
I'm literally playing devil's advocate, but I'm going to play it anyway, which is, all that is true. The death toll is horrific. The percentage of children being killed is horrific. But I would say, as a caveat to this, that if you think about it from the Israeli perspective, you've got 35,000 Hamas terrorists, and we'll come to whether you think they're terrorists or not in a moment, but you've got 35,000 Hamas soldiers, warriors, terrorists, whatever description you want to call them, depending on whose side you're on. And they are embedded amongst a civilian population where half that population is under 18. How else do you get rid of Hamas if you don't go about it in the blunt, brutal manner that Israel is doing? And if you do it the way they're doing it, how do you avoid the kind of casualty rate of people under 18, given that that's half the population?
Look, did you hear the question was very simple. How do you get rid of Hamas? And if you go about it the way Israel is doing it right now, how do you avoid the casualties that we are speaking of and so on? This is the question, right? Mehdi Hasan's answer now has nothing at all to do with what Piers just asked.
So, three things very briefly. Number one, you do it by not deliberately targeting civilian targets and schools and hospitals and cemeteries and mosques and universities and churches. You don't have snipers shooting at hospitals or Christian women inside a church. That's how you avoid the casualties.
Okay, that was not the actual question, but yeah, continue.
Number two, I don't accept the premise of your question that this is the way to defeat Hamas. I think even if I'm an Israeli hawk...
Well, that was not the question, because Pierce's question was, how do you get rid of them? And if you do it the way Israel is doing it right now, how do you do it minimizing the casualties that we are speaking of? So the premise here is, if you do it that way, then if you don't agree with that part, then you're not supposed to answer that part anyway. You're supposed to propose how to get rid of Hamas. This guy's not answering the question, either because he doesn't understand a very, very simple question, or because he doesn't want to understand it, because he doesn't want to respond to it. I don't know, is this guy an idiot, or is he just dishonest?
I think dishonest.
Yeah, I don't think he's an idiot. I think he's probably intelligent enough to make out what is being asked here, and I would suspect that he's being dishonest as well.
I criticize Netanyahu and say, this is not the way to defeat Hamas. This is actually absurd to think you can defeat Hamas in this way. We have countless episodes from history that show us this is not how you defeat a guerrilla movement, a resistance movement, a terror group, as you say, whatever words you want to use. In fact, you have Israeli generals saying this can't be done in this way. And number three, look, the reality is Hamas is a symptom of the problem. As long as you treat Hamas as a problem rather than as a symptom of the problem, you're never going to get rid of Hamas. Or if you do, by some fantasy means, get rid of Hamas, you'll just get another version of Hamas, because now you've got tens of thousands of orphans. You've got people who've lost their kids, their spouses, their siblings. What? You think they're not going to fight back in the years to come? You think they're not going to take
Well, that's
revenge?
how I feel.
It's absolute madness.
So he did not answer the question, and
No.
Piers just let him get away with not answering the question, and we'll just move on now. This is what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
I feel the same way.
So we agree.
So yeah, I think broadly speaking, I do, because I think you can't kill the ideology, and in fact, all you will do is entrench the ideology.
Oh, you can kill the ideology. You can
Yeah,
kill
you
it. Yeah, Israel's just dealing with the Israel is. They're right in the sense that Israel is dealing with the symptom of the problem, Hamas. The actual underlying problem is Islam, and we're going to deal with that.
Yeah. Truth Untold said, so what was his answer? LOL. Yeah, he never answered the question.
That's what we always see. We occasionally see someone like, who was it, Mohammed Hijab? Well, they should be given a military. They should be given tanks. That's how you solve the problem. Like complete, insane, idiotic nonsense. So you either get some ridiculous solution, which from people who have no concept of how reality works, or it's just, no, we're condemning what they're doing, but we're not saying what they should actually do. That would be better.
What kind of a terrible host and presenter is Piers Morgan? I'm sorry, but obviously the guy is qualified to do this, but this is so many times this is just what he does. He asks questions, then doesn't even remind the guest of the actual question that he asked, just lets them move on without answering the question, gets carried away by or sidetracked by what they say. Piers, why would you invite people to discuss certain things and answer questions when they are not going to answer the questions?
Yeah, he does. And I don't know, because I haven't watched him enough in other interviews with other people to know if he always just lets people manhandle him and avoid the questions or even take control of the discussion.
Maybe because he likes it. I don't know.
Well, yeah. Or is that just in this situation where I don't want to look like I'm too aggressive with these poor victims, and therefore I'll just let them manhandle me?
Yeah, Clementine says people actually think Israel is targeting civilians for fun. Yeah, Israel is not targeting civilians, and certainly not for fun. This recently came up in the debate as well, and I was listening to it. And when Norman Finkelstein had a debate with Benny Morris and Destiny, and he was arguing that Israel in this one incident they bombed 4 children. And they did it deliberately. They targeted those children. And it then came up that Israel has a very well-established, intricate system of multi-level chain of commands and approvals that needs to be gone through in order to authorize a drone strike. And it was a drone strike. So Norman Finkelstein, if he says that Israel deliberately targeted children, 4 children, is saying that chain of commands was observed, and that politicians, lawyers, military personnel, whoever is involved in the process, actually gave the okay to conduct this drone strike and deliberately kill 4 children. And Israel would have to answer for that, which is why there is a legal team involved in strikes, and have to demonstrate their reasoning, and would have to then, I guess, show to the court, oh our chain of commands, our lawyers, they also said it's totally fine for us to target these 4 children because why not? Yeah, this is not the real world. These are stupid memes on social media. These are things that people say in order to make accusations about the other side. This is not how a country like Israel operates. It's not how a country like Israel can operate. Israel doesn't have the luxury to operate like this. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, if Israel, and a lot of these guys have to know this on some level, if Israel operated the way all these guys are telling Israel to operate, they would have been destroyed a long time ago.
Yes. And the funny thing during that debate was Destiny asked Finkelstein, he said, do you really believe that happened? Do you really believe that they approved this strike? And Benny Morris was like, yeah, please answer the question. Do you really believe that? And he avoided And they're answering the question and moved on, of course. I was like, Mr. Borelli, Mr. Borelli,
Mr.
Borelli.
Mr. Botticelli, why would you ask something like that? Come on.
Please, let's not talk about
You're
the
a moron.
technicalities.
What kind
You
of
moron.
moron?
Yeah, what an idiot. What a giant baby. Oh, by the way, speaking of Mr. Borelli, I had this here open. We talked about this the other day, but there is something that this person, STRXWMXN, posted.
It's straw man with
no,
X's.
it's Strixman. It's Strixmixon.
Strixmixon.
He says, here's a 5-minute clip demonstrating what a lying fraud Norman Finkelstein, a self-described scholar on international law, is, with Rabbani in tow. Several times he claims to have read South Africa's comprehensive 84-page ICJ case, around 4 times. I also read it, by the way. So from the conclusion here, I can conclude that I know more about this case than Norman Finkelstein does. When Destiny brings up dolus specialis as a specific requirement for the Genocide Convention's definition of genocide, both of them seem confused. Finkelstein tries to correct Destiny, that's mens rea, and then continues to sound like a deranged lunatic instead of refuting the point or acceding to it. Here is the thing. In South Africa's claim, dolus specialis appears 4 times. Mens rea appears 0 times. This is true. This is true.
Notice what that means, though. If Norman Finkelstein is saying, yeah, I read that, and he has no idea what's actually in it, that raises the question, if he was lying about reading that, what else was he lying about reading? Those 10,000 books, perhaps? Perhaps yes. Destiny and his 2 books has actually read more about this issue than Norman Finkelstein, who lies about what he's read.
Yeah, and quick explanation there. So mens rea is the mental state that a perpetrator in a genocide is described as having. And in that mental state, there is a specific intent, which is called dolus specialis, that needs to be proven to exist in order to call it a genocide. So that is the whole discussion. Now look at this. You will clearly see here, and this guy also posted these screenshots of showing that this is indeed mentioned in the document, in South Africa's document, dolus specialis, dolus specialis, dolus specialis, and so on. It's right here. And it's also on the official website of the United Nations. Now look at this. You will clearly see here that these guys don't know it.
The ruling and an independent judgment. Now, South Africa was not filing a frivolous case. That was 84 pages. It was single.
Even 84 pages can be frivolous.
It takes an hour and a half to read. It was not a massive case.
It was single spaced and it had literally hundreds of footnotes.
Wait a minute, I didn't catch it the first time. You know what Destiny said? It's
massive case.
It was single spaced.
It takes an hour and a half to read. It was not a massive case.
It was.
Destiny is so belittling what this guy describes as a massive case.
Single spaced.
It takes an hour and a half to read. It was not a massive case.
It was single spaced. And it had literally hundreds of...
If they think that's a massive case, wait till they see Andrew Tate.
It's possible.
Of course,
it could be.
Wasn't.
Yeah, I read the report. To tell you the truth, I followed very closely everything that's been happening to October 7th. I was mesmerized. I couldn't believe the comprehensiveness of that particular report. Number 2.
No, that is that. No,
we're an Olympic team.
So he's talking about how comprehensive it is.
I said plausibility is the same concept as qualifying.
The court is not asked at this present phase of the proceedings to determine whether South Africa's allegations of genocide are well-founded. They're not well-founded. They're not even well-founded. The court is. You said that plausible was a high standard. It's absolutely not. It is a misrepresentation of the strength of the case against Israel, just like the majority of the quotes they have in this case are. And also, you said it was an extremely well-founded case. They spend like 1/4 of all of the quotations, some even pulled from the Goldstone report, that try to that actually deal with the intent part.
You know what's so impressive here? You can sit down and analyze this for yourself. Destiny here is actually completely right. And Norman Finkelstein is not. Norman Finkelstein is saying that because the court ruled preliminarily that there is plausibility for the claims that South Africa made, this means that Israel is likely committing a genocide. And Destiny is pointing out, no, that's nonsense. It's not true. Plausibility means that it may or may not be true that it exists, and it must be analyzed and taken into consideration. So the only thing that it qualifies for is for a further analysis, that the allegations amount to something that may or may not be true. It doesn't make any claim at all about the strength of the claims, about whether Israel is likely to be committing a genocide or not. But Finkelstein is acting like it does. Destiny here is correct, which is why you can see Benny Morris nodding here and agreeing with Destiny, the actual scholar. And Norman Finkelstein over there, the baby in the body of an old grandpa, is wrong. It's acting. I don't know.
But I mean, think about how messed up this is. Destiny is correct in what he's saying.
Yeah.
Finkelstein's wrong in what he's saying. Destiny has actually read it. Finkelstein hasn't. Finkelstein claims to have read it and followed it carefully, even though he's been exposed, he hasn't. But just because he speaks in a condescending fashion, and you're a moron, the pro-Palestinians who would be watching this would be, oh, he goes, dude, Norman Finkelstein destroyed him, destroyed Destiny. And this is how it always goes. Just thump your chest, and make it sound like you say what you're talking about. They'll believe anything you say.
And look, you will now see how he acts like a baby when he's exposed that he doesn't know the subject.
Which is, by the way, I think you guys, I don't know if you use the phrase, the dolus specialis, that the intentional part of genocide.
Sorry, I don't know that term.
Did you hear that? No, this guy said, I don't know that term.
I think it's called dolus specialis. It is the most important part of genocide, which is proving it is a highly special intent to commit genocide. It's possible that Israel could.
That's mens rea.
Did you hear that? That's mens rea. He's grinning, acting like Destiny doesn't know what he's talking about, with his smug face here and saying, that's mens rea. I just explained it, but mens rea is the general categorization of the mental state of somebody who is committing a crime. Dolus specialis is the special intent that is part of that mental state, which needs to be established in order to come to the conclusion that a party is actually committing that certain crime. So mens rea and dolus specialis are not the same thing. Destiny points out that there is this thing called dolus specialis, which is also mentioned in the documents. This guy, the Rabbani guy, doesn't know what the term is, and Finkelstein apparently also doesn't know it, and grins here with his smug face and says, "That's mens rea, mens rea, not the same thing." This guy clearly doesn't know what he's. So you can see here very well, and I showed it right here. Right, this guy pointed out it is right here in the document, which Norman Finkelstein claims to have read thoroughly. It is mentioned 4 times.
Yeah, it defines it. I mean, it defines it right there. The specific intent.
Yeah, evidence of Israeli state official specific intent, dolus specialis, to commit and persist in committing genocidal acts, and so on. It is right here in the document, which he just bragged about having studied.
No, the mens rea. Yes, I understand the state of mind, but for genocide, it's called dolus specialis. It's a highly special intent.
You're making that up, Destiny. Why are you such a liar?
Look at this reaction.
It's possible that Israel could.
That's mens rea.
No, the mens rea. Yes, I understand the state of mind, but for genocide, it's called dolus specialis. It's a highly special intent. Did you read the case?
Yeah.
It is a highly special intent.
I'm going to ask you again.
Genocide. Yes.
Please stop displaying your imbecility.
Okay, I'm sorry.
What a dirtbag! That makes it. Did you see that? He gets cornered.
Did you see that?
He gets cornered. Destiny even brings up, wait a minute, did you even read this? You just said you read it. You seem to have no actual idea what's in there. What you're saying about the case is completely wrong. Did you even read it? Why are you displaying your imbecility? Gosh, is that what this dude does?
This guy is a fraud.
This is my first impression of Norman Finkelstein, which I keep hearing about. Oh, Norman Finkelstein, he's a real Jew. He's good. He really knows what he's talking about. And what I see here is the guy who runs his mouth, thumps his chest, makes it sound so like he'd be a perfect Dawa guy. Thumps his chest, makes it sound like knows what he's talking about. When he's exposed, just thumps his chest even more and insults his opponent.
Mario Shamal said, as a lawyer, this makes my brain vomit. This is who Norman Finkelstein is, and this guy is.
Wait a minute.
He has been discredited. He has been denied tenure from his university, which he tried to sue and didn't get anywhere. He has been no serious academic wants to sit down and talk to him. This was arranged because people keep appealing to him in order to accuse Israel and be anti-Semitic, to be very frank. And this is what the guy does. This is what Norman Finkelstein does. He is a complete fraud. This is a high resolution presentation of him being a complete fraud, of him being exposed for not knowing what he is talking about. And here is Destiny. Destiny is a streamer who does not have an education in the field, who does not have a degree, who does not brag about being a scholar or an expert, who just sits there and plays video games and streams and reads about everything thoroughly. This guy knows it. This streamer here that Norman Finkelstein tries to insult and belittle and make fun of, he knows what he's talking about, and Norman Finkelstein, the supposed expert and scholar, doesn't. And then he acts like a baby and says, Mr. Varelli, you are a moron. This is what we're dealing with. And people are actually
Destiny with his 2 books seems to know more than Finkelstein with all his books.
Yes. And this entire debate, you can hear Norman Finkelstein say again and again, I am more literate than you, Mr. Borelli. You don't know what you're talking about. You are so ignorant. You're a moron.
Highly special intent. Did you read the case?
Yeah.
It is
Mr.
a highly
Borelli,
special intent.
I'm going to ask you again.
Genocide. Yes.
Please stop displaying your imbecility.
Okay, I'm sorry if you think the declaration of the judge is imbecile.
Don't put on public display that you're a moron. At least have the self-possession to shut up. Did I read the case?
Putting my display on camera. You're comfortable putting yours in books. Okay?
I read the case around 4 times. I read all of the majority opinion, the declarations. I read Aaron Barak's.
He read it 4 times, and apparently he has no idea that in this document, which he read 4 times, a word appears 4 times. That is dolo specialis. That is the specific intent to commit a certain crime. And he thinks, oh, that word doesn't exist. You're making it up right now. I think you're making that up, Mr. Morelli. I don't know what you're talking about. You are making this up.
Well, I just have to clarify what was going on. I was reading the case, but some Mexicans above me kept banging on the floor, and so I got distracted, and every time I was about to read that part, I kind of missed it because I was calling the cops on all the Mexicans.
Have you ever tried reading books while these illegal immigrants make noises next door instead of moving over to the zoo so I can give them bananas in there? That's what he was saying.
And they're about up there. They're shaking the maracas. They're shaking the maracas, and I couldn't understand the court case.
Yeah. Apes. They're all apes. Anyway, so this is Norman Finkelstein, the fraud. And people really present this guy as an expert because these are people who don't rely on facts, who don't rely on actual arguments, who don't rely on evidence. What they rely on is just bragging, chest thumping, insulting, and being a traitor, to be very honest, and a very terrible one at that.
Yeah, this dude. It's interesting because I know you can have serious differences of opinion on, things like war and who's responsible and what the causes are and how to proceed and so on. You can have serious disagreements on all these issues. But when I hear that the leading spokesman for the anti-Israel side is Norman Finkelstein, I hear about him, and this guy's really just schooling everyone. And we look at this, it's like, oh my goodness, that's your guy? Seriously? That's your guy? Yeah, when that's your champion, that's like having I mean, that's like saying, oh, and Ali Dawa is the champion of Dawa. And it's like, whoa, that tells me a lot about Dawa. And this guy tells me a lot about the position that he is the champion of.
He should stick to trying to kick out his neighbors and have them deported instead of having debates on this topic. Obviously,
I don't even like tacos. I don't like the smell of them. They're too crunchy. I told them that you should at least have some soft tacos, but they were just crunching on the tacos. So I had to get rid of them and get them deported and take their daughter. I had to take their daughter. This guy, if people didn't see our other live stream on this, they won't know what we're talking about. This guy's pretty messed up if you make noise.
Yeah, what an embarrassment.
He wants to take your daughter. He wants to call Child Protective Services to get your daughter taken away from you. He wants to call ICE to get you kicked out of the country. It's calls the police to get you arrested for scams. It's like pretty bad. This guy goes hard.
Pretty bad.
I don't think Israel have thought through to a logical end game, which is you're not going to get rid of the thinking that inspired Hamas, because a lot of people will have suffered such appalling grief with their close family in the way you described that they're going to want to get revenge.
I think you're being a little too generous to the Israelis here, and with the greatest respect, I think your questions reflect a little bit of a naivety about what Israel's doing here. You're starting from the premise that Israel is trying to defeat Hamas. I don't accept that premise. I don't believe that's what Israel is trying to do.
What do you think they're trying to do?
They wouldn't be doing it this way. I think they're trying to take back Gaza. I think they're trying to erase the resistance in Gaza. I think they're trying to get rid of the people from Gaza. I think this is...
Yeah, Israel really had this fantastic idea 20 years ago to say, you know what, guys? Let us spend all of our resources to remove ourselves from Gaza and forcibly remove some of the settlers there who don't even want to leave, and have everyone resettled out of there, and spend so many funds to relocate those people, and also leave a bunch of things behind in Gaza, which we basically are giving Gaza for free, and leave that place and comply with international requirements, and then give them a chance to have autonomy while also delivering a bunch of free stuff from now on, and focusing so many of our international resources on this place, just so we can have this go on for 20 years, whereafter we will possibly be attacked at some point and have thousands of our own people killed, and then we will go in there and take all of it back. Yes, that's what we're doing. This is the most reasonable way to go. This is very practical. This makes a lot of sense. This is what we're going to do. Yeah, completely reasonable. Yes, Mehdi Hasan. Fantastic.
Yeah. And I mean, he specifically said they're not trying to defeat Hamas because look at what they're doing. What are they doing? Well, yeah, they keep going after Hamas and they're hunting them down wherever they're hiding. So that means they're not trying to destroy Hamas.
No.
Now, there is the relevant issue of Israel. Let's suppose it takes another 5-6 months or something like that, but they completely crush Hamas. They have captured or killed every Hamas jihadi. Let's suppose they have destroyed Hamas. The issue both these guys are bringing up is, but that still leaves open the future. There's going to be a lot of disgruntled people really upset. Yeah, that's happened in every prior conflict with Israel. It looks like now we talked about this before, but in psychology, this is called traumatic one trial learning. You want the population to recoil at any future thought of launching terrorist attacks, right? So you can have a bunch of upset people. Oh, look what they did, and so on. But you can actually implant. You can program their future thinking to go, whatever we do, we are not launching a terrorist attack against these guys because we've seen what they will do. We are not doing that. And so I'm not convinced they are going to have a problem with worldwide opinion because of all the college protesters and stuff like that. After they finish with Hamas, I don't think they're going to face a serious terror threat from Gaza anymore.
Look, Israel knows how to foster a proper environment where a population that actually lives under their own proper rule, under their own proper government, is doesn't turn into a completely messed up terrorist cell. The people that are now part of Israel in Jerusalem, in the east of Jerusalem, are not a huge problem who are terrorists and all that. The majority population over there is Arab, and most of the population is not a problem. I spoke to the deputy mayor of Jerusalem, which I published. She said we don't have problems. She said we don't have tensions even, and she said most of these people they don't even want to become part of a possible Arab Palestinian state. And we also have polls, by the way, and where you can see that Israeli Arabs, the majority of Israeli Arabs say that they are happy to be Israelis, that they are proud to be Israeli, that they think 60% or so say the Israel is going the right direction, or not the right direction, but Israel is doing well. Israel is doing good. So the majority of Israeli Arabs agree with how Israel is doing things and are proud to be part of the country. Obviously, the Palestinian side can't get things done on their own very well. It looks like maybe they just need to be controlled once again by the Israeli government that does things right, at least. And it doesn't look like there's going to be a massive massacre or genocide or whatever it is that this guy predicts will happen. It's almost like he's wishing for it.
They've mowed the lawn, as they put it in previous wars. This time they're going in to erase the population. There's a plausible genocide.
Okay, but let me.
Yeah, of course. So far, what is it? If we believe the numbers that Hamas gave, 30,000 people died, of whom, by the way, around 30% are Hamas. But yeah, what they actually want to do is to go in and kill the entire population, the 2 million people. Yeah, that's what they want to do. Yeah, very, very plausible. Very plausible, Mehdi. Very, very great. Earlier I said this guy's probably not intelligent. He's just dishonest. Now I'm thinking this guy is really dumb. I don't know.
So let me ask you justice. If you listen to Israeli officials, as you know, it's laid out in the South African petition, they are very genocidal in their approach to flattening and burning down Gaza. It's not about destroying Hamas. And if it was about destroying Hamas, why has Netanyahu and Smotrich and others talked about how Hamas is an asset to Israel? Why do they say that openly, Piers?
Well, he was clearly massively deluded, I think, Netanyahu, about having anything to do with Hamas. I think Netanyahu's plan was quite...
He's referring to one report according to which Netanyahu said that Hamas needs to be in place if we want to ever prevent a Palestinian state from forming, which is a quote that has never been confirmed. That's a rumor. And the only other thing that he said is that money needs to flow into Gaza to Hamas so that they won't continue bombing us or attack, or so they won't continue firing rockets at us and attacking us. That's it. He's once again misrepresenting things entirely.
Straightforward, which was to separate Hamas from the Palestinian Authority and create a split in the Palestinians at an official level. And he thought that was the best way of preserving security for Israel. He couldn't have been more wrong. I mean, the thing I do want to ask you, I don't think you've called Hamas terrorists. In fact, you've gone out of your way to call them fighters. Do you still think that, or do you accept that what they did on October the 7th was an act of terrorism on a heinous scale, and therefore you have to call them terrorists?
So you're wrong, Piers. In my very first MSNBC monologue after October 7th, I referred to what happened on October 7th as terrorism. In fact, when I was 16 years old, I wrote a letter to the Independent newspaper condemning Hamas bus bombings in the mid-1990s. So you're wrong on multiple levels. I don't expect you to know about my 16-year-old self, but clearly my MSNBC output is all there for anyone to see.
So just to be clear,
I can confirm, just looking at checking his tweets and also some of the stuff he wrote earlier, that he did condemn things that happened on October 7th. In fact, I showed it yesterday. Norman Finkelstein called him a sewer rat because he condemned October 7th.
So whatever you think about Mehdi, he's better than Norman Finkelstein.
That's how bad Norman Finkelstein is. Imagine that. So Mehdi Hasan here actually condemned. Look, let me bring this up actually. Oh, here. Here we have it. Let's see. Actually, let me find the actual tweet. Hold on a second. Let me go on Norman Finkelstein's Twitter page and look for it, since it is probably still up. Let me look for the word rat. Pretty sure if I look for rat, I will find it right here. And there it is. There it is. There it is. So here is Mehdi Hasan on October 7 saying, taking children as hostages, if confirmed, is barbarism, plain and simple, and does nothing to advance the cause of peace, resistance, or ending the occupation. The response to the ongoing suffering and killing of Palestinian children is not to make Israeli children suffer. Okay, very, very lackluster, but at least it's a condemnation, right? And here is Norman Finkelstein's response to that. If you smell the foul odor of a sewer rat, look around for Mehdi Hasan. If confirmed. In other words, this sewer rat, TSR, doesn't really know if Palestinian militants took children hostage, but who cares? Imagine, Norman Finkelstein is so terrible, that we have to admit here that Mehdi Hasan at least said, did to an extent here the right thing to condemn some barbarism, and Norman Finkelstein is the one who calls him a sewer rat, who dehumanizes him because of this. This guy is sick. He is sick.
You're sick. You're sick.
Yeah, this man has real problems, man. Real problems.
This man has real problems.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, somebody else responded to this as well. Daniel Kikichu. Your transformation to complete Zionist shill is now complete. That's what Daniel Kikic said on October 7 in response to Mehdi Hasan. Just because Mehdi Hasan condemned the taking of children as hostages. These people, man.
Just to be clear, it was an act of terrorism, and Hamas
had this changing
position.
Had this changing meaning of Zionist over the years, but yeah, now it apparently means anyone who is opposed to taking children hostage.
Yes.
So we got that.
I think the Hamas fighters who went into Israel and killed civilians.
Hold up. What was the question?
Just to be clear, it was an act of terrorism, and Hamas are terrorists. That's your position.
I think the Hamas fighters who went into Israel and killed civilians and kidnapped babies, certainly I would call them terrorists.
He didn't answer the question. Is he going to answer the question, actually?
Just as I call Israeli soldiers who kidnap children and kill children terrorists. I use...
Okay, first he didn't answer the question, the actual question, and then he also immediately jumped to Israel. Listen to the question one more time. What is Piers Morgan asking? Who are terrorists?
I think the Hamas output is all there for anyone to see.
So just to be clear, it was an act of terrorism, and Hamas are terrorists.
Hamas are terrorists. That's the question. So it was an act of terrorism, and Hamas are terrorists. That's the question. And now listen to the answer.
That's your position.
I think the Hamas fighters who went into Israel and killed civilians and kidnapped babies, certainly I would call them terrorists. Just as I call Israelis.
You see that? So Hamas members
are terrorists. That's your position.
I think the Hamas fighters who went into Israel and killed civilians.
Hamas are not terrorists, but Hamas fighters who went into Israel and killed civilians
and kidnapped babies, certainly.
And kidnapped babies.
I would call them terrorists.
Are certainly terrorists. That was not the question. Of course, yeah, you could say that. But what is so hard about answering that very simple question? So, are you confirming, or do you agree that Hamas are terrorists? Yes or no? Well, I would say that those Hamas fighters who did go in there and did these and these specific things are terrorists. Yeah, of course. That's not the question. Sorry. And this is what you see. Here you have it again. This guy is dishonest. He's deliberately pausing right there and thinking about it and not answering the actual question that is asked, but reframing it in such a way that he doesn't have to answer the question. And I'm pretty sure that Piers Morgan will not push. He will just let him get away with it. Let's see.
Just as I call Israeli soldiers who kidnap children and kill children terrorists. I use the terrorist label more freely because otherwise it's just a politicized, empty phrase that we just apply to our enemies. What I would say, Piers, is that I find it a problem, and you know this, you've joked about all...
Yep, there you have it. Mehdi Hasan immediately used the opportunity to change the subject and is now going to ask about Israel.
The memes about you, this obsession with what we call Hamas, which is a question you pose, let's be honest, Piers, to most of your pro-Palestinian brown guests. You don't ask your Israeli or Jewish or pro-Israeli guests to condemn Israeli terrorism or Israeli war crimes at the start of an interview in the way you do.
No, I've been asked directly.
Well, now, why did Brown come into this again? Why did race come into this again?
Because it works with a certain crowd. As soon as you just look. In fact, look at you. Look how white you are. And look at me. I'm brown. Who's everyone you going to believe here?
He immediately played the race card again. Immediately played the race card again. Well, what does the race have to do with this at all? What does race have to do with anything? And is he saying that he is brown? He is brown, whatever brown means, because he is he's a Muslim, apparently. That makes you brown, I guess. Whereas all those pro-Israel people are white. White. Is that what he's saying here?
That's what he's saying.
So I just want to ask a question here. The spokesperson of the Israeli government that we have seen and heard quite so often, who was also interviewed by Piers Morgan, this guy. Is this guy white or brown? David, what do you think?
He looks pretty white to me.
All right, you might say that.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what Mehdi Hasan would say if I asked Mehdi Hasan. Would he say that he himself is brown and this guy is white? Well, you know what's funny about this? This guy, Alon Levy, he is an Iraqi Jew. He has nothing to do with the whole, European background and this and that. He's an Iraqi Jew. That's it. He's a Mizrahi Iraqi Jew. So if you want to go for that definition of brown or whatever you want to call it, here this guy is brown.
No, he's white.
So why in the world did that whole race thing, that whole brown issue get into this discussion? Because it works, because it distracts from the actual subject.
That dude is every bit as white as Mehdi Hasan. So let's just be clear on that. To be fair, Piers Morgan is whiter than both of them, but
he's pretty white. Yeah.
Said no. So I don't think they are. I think they had a right to defend themselves. The question is the scale.
That wasn't the point I made, Piers.
That
wasn't the point I made. I said when you have Israeli guests let me finish my sentence.
No, Mehdi, it's not your show. It's mine. I wanted to say that the whole.
Finally, man. Piers Morgan is sticking up for himself once again before he continues to be bullied.
Interview, by the way. So we got that out of the way. That's a joke. I'm joking. But the point I would make is, I think that I asked all the pro-Palestinian guests who've come on that question quite quickly, because I think it reveals a state of mind. If, like you, and I'm sorry, I didn't realize you had in that first piece on MSNBC done that. So I take back the suggestion you hadn't. And I'm glad that you have called them that. I don't think you can call them anything else. So the moment you have a pro-Palestinian guest who wants to avoid calling what Hamas did an act of terrorism by terrorists, I think it's very revealing about their mindset. And I think it's the wrong mindset.
Here's my problem with that. Why is that not applied to your Israeli guests? I would be fine, Piers, if you had Palestinian guests and you begin by asking them, do you condemn Hamas war crimes? Because what Hamas did on October 7th was a war crime. But then you should start with Israeli guests and pro-Israeli guests saying, do you condemn Israeli war crimes, which have been documented by the UN, every human rights group on the planet? You don't. You had Naftali Bennett, the former Israeli prime minister, on a couple of weeks ago. I watched the interview. You're opening...
Because on the one hand, you have alleged war crimes. On the other hand, you have war crimes that are undeniable, which were broadcast to the entire world by the terrorists themselves, and which nobody at this point can possibly even try to reasonably deny, such as taking hostages. Yeah. You can make all kinds of allegations about Israeli war crimes right now. Israel can deny that there are war crimes taking place, and you can't say, how can you deny it? It's just so obvious. It's right there. Like there is not even any room for deniability. There is no room to deny it. You can't say that. You have to prove it. You have to go to a court and go through with it. Whereas with Hamas, you have the war crime of taking hostages. There is no denying it. They know that they have hostages. They announced to the world that they took hostages. They give hostages out. They want to make deals to exchange the hostages. Taking hostages in and of itself is a war crime. There is no way that you can reasonably deny this. There is a difference here. And of course, there's also the fact that Hamas went in directly on October 7 and broadcasted and recorded it with their own cameras, that they went into the civilian population and started firing randomly at civilians, that they killed 360 people at a party, at a music festival, and so on. These are undeniable war crimes.
Right,
But yeah,
little side note, Black Angel shared a clip of Mehdi before the 2013 clip, back when he was a bit more radical. And so this guy starts off as pretty darn radical and then becomes nice by 2013. And then
I remember some harsh clip from him. What was that?
Yeah, there's one. It's got the subtitles on there.
Yeah, where's Black Angel?
Let's go to Black
Here.
Angel on Twitter, and she just shared it.
see.
She shared it with you. Matter of fact, so it should pop up as soon as you.
As animals, different from the rest of the non-Muslims, from the rest of those human beings who live their lives as animals, bending any rule to fulfill any desire. Once we do that, we are lost.
Islam, to believe is to know. To disbelieve is not to know. That is what it fundamentally comes down to. It is to remain ignorant, to cover up knowledge.
Different from the rest of the non-Muslims, from the rest of those human beings who live their lives as animals.
As animals. Well, yeah, we are all animals. That's pretty nice. Pretty nice. Pretty nice guy here. Pretty nice guy.
Should have said that to Pierce. What would I expect from you, Pierce, when you live your life as cattle?
As an animal.
You're sick. You are sick.
Anyway.
The question was, how comfortable are you with the way Israel's prosecuting the war? Right? Bit of a softball to start with. You didn't ask him to condemn Israeli terrorism, Israeli war crimes, Israeli genocide.
I wish somebody asked me that one day. I would say, I'm loving it. Yeah.
In Gaza. So a lot of people look at that.
What's wrong with you, man?
It's a bit of a racist double standard.
Well, look, I don't think it's a racist double standard, and I think that nobody has.
Watch Aladdin make a clip of this and see, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
How can he say this?
He said he's loving it. Meaning what? Meaning loving the way Israel's relentlessly going after Hamas. But imagine a Hamas jihadi stumbling upon this video and how this would hurt his feelings. So let me go ahead and completely misrepresent everything that was saying and say he was celebrating the deaths of children. This is the dark side of the anti-Islam movement.
And what if, when he says, I'm loving it, it inadvertently reminds those who are fasting at the moment of McDonald's? And can you imagine their suffering? This will immediately push them away from their questioning mindset. And this is damaging the entire ex-Muslim community.
Given pro-Palestinian voices a bigger platform more consistently since October the 7th than me. And if you go back and look at those interviews, I think that clips get taken out of context and people assume they know what I've said. And often it's completely misleading. I've tried to be fair-minded about it. People do ask me, do you think Israel are terrorists? And I said, no, I don't think they are. But I have repeated it. Well, I have repeated it because I think they have interest. Why? Because they were responding to an act of terrorism so heinous, it demanded a massive military response. The question for me that's caused me a moral quandary is what is an acceptably proportionate level of response? And I don't know the answer. But I don't think you can call people responding to an act of terror on that scale terrorists for responding. What you can do is hold them to account.
The problem is, if you go to Gaza, Piers, and you talk to Palestinians, they will say that Hamas were responding. If we play the who started it game, we go back many decades.
When did Israel kill?
What we need to have is when did Israel kill 1,200 Palestinians?
Yes, maybe we should go back to who started it, and then we should talk about who started it in the 1800s, early 1900s, 1920, 1929, 1936, 1939, 1940. 1948, and so on. Maybe we will then get to a conclusion and see that it was indeed the Islamist side, the Arab side, that has been the aggressor consistently. And then see what we can do after that point. With that said, I recently saw something funny, which is this.
Muslims are also a victim of a white colonial project, a liberal project.
So Muslim is a racial thing, huh, Daniel?
No, it's
colonialism.
it overlaps.
What are you
There can
getting
be
at, Daniel?
overlap.
Hey,
I'm
what-
white too. I'm white too. So what? How does that even?
I don't
make sense?
consider you white.
No, Owen Benjamin is a former actor and comedian, and nowadays he's a conspiracy theorist.
Oh, that's Owen Benjamin.
Yeah, and he's a neo-Nazi.
I've heard about him. I don't.
Yeah, he's a neo-Nazi. He hates
Interesting.
Jews, and he thinks Hitler did nothing wrong and stuff like that. And of course, because of that, Islamists really started befriending him recently. And he's a white nationalist, and so he hates Jews and has recently started being buddy with Islamists, with Muslims, because they just like to give, I don't know, different kinds of service to anyone who hates Jews at the moment.
Why not?
Yeah, it is. It is interesting. Everyone who's uniting here. You got you got socialists, you got neo-Nazis, you got Muslims, and you got the dumbest generation of college students that has ever existed.
Yeah, it's funny how he's trying to make himself white here, and this guy's like, oh, I don't consider you white.
What? How does that even?
I don't
make sense?
consider you white.
Why not?
Because
Why
you
not?
look kind of brown.
He looks white to me.
No, I'm white. I'm
You got a little twinkle in
Aryan.
your eye.
Did you hear that? He said Aryan.
I'm white. I'm
You got a little
Aryan.
Come on. We need to be united. I'm white like you. Let's be all on the same side against the Jews.
Man, oh man, oh man.
A couple of winners here.
Never had slaves or did empires or anything. Never.
If you want to look at the world through a racial lens, then you have to be, you have to take your own medicine, basically.
Yeah. So that's why that's what I saw, and I thought it was quite interesting, quite funny, where Daniel is trying to befriend the Nazis so hard. It's not really working out very well. When he says Aryan, by the way, he's referring to, because he's Persian, he's Iranian, and Iranians are known as Aryans originally. But Iranians really went through some big changes in their genetic makeup since they mixed, and they are no longer pure, which is all just a bunch of nonsense. David Wood, favorite Old Testament prophet, Daniel, Jeremiah.
Micaiah.
Nice. AP, favorite German philosopher, Nietzsche, Hegel, Kant. This is a difficult question.
Oh my goodness. German philosophers freaking suck, man. They're the worst. Gottlob Frege is my favorite because he was a logician and didn't get into this stupid Kantian nonsense that ruined everything.
I have respect for you when it comes to philosophy because you have a philosophy PhD. So I don't want to...
And 2 master's degrees.
But I must say that I feel quite romantic about...
they suck.
About Nietzsche. And...
Nietzsche made some very important... It's like he gets some important things that everyone else is missing. He gets those right, and everything else is complete idiotic nonsense. And he makes him.
I agree. I agree.
Okay,
he said some really stupid. He said some really stupid things, but he has very unique perspectives on.
And Kant, don't even get me started. You go with the pre-critical Kant. Awesome stuff. After the critical turn, complete freaking lunatic, and derails German philosophy permanently. Has still never recovered from that dude.
I never really cared much about Kant. I can't really say much about it. Yeah, I can't deal with
the general thoughts among philosophy professors on Kant is mad scientist level ability coming up with theories completely wrong, right? Like that when you map out his theory of I mean the stuff that he's most significant for, when you like map it out and they just go, this is wrong, but this is genius. It's like genius mad scientist level wrong.
That is funny.
And then he inserts that into German philosophy permanently.
He is kind of considered revolutionary, and has this respect for that. The thing is, consistently, both when I was in high school and then when I was taking my college classes, and then reading later on philosophy, whenever it came to Kant, I'm like, I've always zoned out and thought, I really don't care, you know. I really don't care.
Yeah, he's one of he's one of basically two philosophers. Wittgenstein is the other, but he's one of two philosophers where it's thought if they didn't come up with their like no one else would have come up with it. Like there are lots of other stuff. There's lots of other philosophers out there where if they hadn't come up with it, someone would have come up with it. Someone would have come up with the same theory eventually. These guys were so far outside of the box that
I just can't focus on that stuff. It's like it's too exhausting and too boring and too irrelevant. I can't deal with that. I would rather.
If you're Emmanuel, classic.
You had to do it, right? Ari Wasserman said, Apostate Aladdin, I'll give you 3 wishes, AP. I wish for a free upgrade to Apostate Allah, a slave girl who looks like Mehdi Hasan, and more Ari Wasserman super chants. Aladdin, that last one is what lost you the wishes. Oh, yeah. He was specifically twice, I think. He was pointing at Ari's super chats and saying, look at this super chat. Look at this super chat that he's reading. Look at the super chat. Can you imagine talking like this to the victims of a war? I love you, Ari Wasaman, and I love your super chats. Must say that. Messianic Apostle said, David, remember Yahya Snow and Sami Zaatari? Yes.
Yep. And that
John Joyce said, BS, I was in middle school in Queens, New York on 9/11. I had Jewish classmates who lost relatives in the attack. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, that those old school Muslim apologists from the the early 2000s ties right into what we're saying about how each new generation of Dawa guys comes out. They'll have success for a while, and then people catch on to their tactics, their new tactics, and then they plummet, and new guys will come in. It's this wave of like deceptive methodologies coming in.
That's nice. That's nice. I can't imagine that stuff will be around in the future. Abu Bakr al-Paftar said, wonder what hilarious ass-looking goat has tonight. I do too. Pat the Goat said, does Matty's husband know he's talking unsupervised? Probably not. John Choi said, Mr. Red Vanelli, Mr. Red Vanelli, I've read 10,000 books and you've only read 2 Wikipedia articles. Quit being a fantastic moron and shave that mustache of yours. Abu Bakr said, I remember when David Wood, Robert Spencer were debating Dawa apologists, and the Dawa guys accused David Wood and Robert Spencer of anti-Semitism projection. Huh. That was funny. I can't imagine David Wood being anti-Semitic. Joshua Wooden says, sorry, off topic, good stuff as usual, but David, safety, Wood, can I get Robert Spencer books that are signed? All physical books must be signed by author.
I mean, can you get them? Yeah, I'm sure if you contacted Robert and said you'd like some special edition autograph copies and your best bet would just be to bring some books to some event where Robert is speaking and ask him to sign them. That would be the easiest.
I would guess that
Robert speaks a lot.
I would guess that David can't make any promises at this point.
I could if I wanted to, but
you can't.
I'm all about myself here.
Solitary Emmy says, wait a minute, Solitary Emmy is from Singapore? Are you in Singapore, Solitary Emmy? 5 proofs for the existence of God book. We can study and study, but at the end of the day, do we trust God? The man who claimed to be God proved it with resurrection, split time, spoke like no other Jesus, gave much evidence that he is God. Huh. Interesting stuff. 5 proofs. We can study and study, but at the end of the day, do we trust God? The man who claimed to be God proved it with the resurrection, split time, spoke like no other Jesus, gave much evidence that he is God. I will look at. Hey, I think I actually bought a digital version of that book.
What,
yesterday.
5 proofs for the existence of God?
Yeah, yesterday, upon recommendation, I actually did that. I think. Let me
It's
see.
easy to buy.
I'll check it.
It's easy to buy books, AP. It's harder to read them. But if you ever
I
want
know.
to do something fun, we could do like 5 separate live streams where we go through each argument and determine whether it's good or not.
That'll be fun. Wait a minute, I didn't buy it. I put it on my list, but I didn't buy it yet. Okay. Anyway,
Not only do you not read it, you don't even actually buy it.
Oh wait, I did buy it. Okay, I did buy it.
So now you're lying like, hey, you're don't be a Finkelstein, dude. All right.
No, it's because digital orders are listed separately, so I didn't see it yet. I had to switch, but now I see that I did buy it. But yeah, so I bought it, but I will never read it because I never read. I've never read a book in my entire life. All I do is just buy books and then just put them away and never again look at them.
I can never read because every time I'm about to read, my goat eats it.
I wanted to read my book, but then the Jews bombed my house. And
I planned on reading the court case. Honestly, I did. But, when the Mexicans distracted me, I couldn't actually read it.
You see a pair of shields praising the benefactor, yes. L'Oreal Baby on Liz, AP Secret Christian changed my mind.
Yeah, notice how quickly AP skimmed past that one.
Huh. NNN said, is this the idiot who claims that Islam is a peaceful religion? The cult targeting the civilians in the name of Allah seems so peaceful to him. It is the idiot. SAS Boss said, AP, have you heard of Timur Aklan YouTube channel Hidden in Plain Sight? Palestinian who converted to Judaism. Would love to hear you interview him. I got 10 shekels on it. Wait a minute, didn't you just bring that up 2 days ago? Somebody else brought this up in these words or something like that, and I looked it up and I actually made a note of it.
I got 10
on it.
I got 10 on it. Synagogue in Tel Aviv, hidden in
I
plain
got
sight.
10 shekels. I will look it up. I made a note. I will check it out. Lonnie Crow said the radicalization of young Muslims is imported by immigrants from the Middle East, which is more Islamist today. The fall of the artificial pan-Arabism. That is mightily true. Maybe. Appreciate that. The Sahih Mask is, how about no? I don't care about your wine.
How about no? How about no?
Mechanique said, sounds like Javier Bardem from Dune 2. I haven't watched it.
He does. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but yes, he does.
Okay, he does. I trust David.
How about no?
It's kind of fun when you like push the button again and again. It's like,
how about no?
Anyway, Monitoring Hysteria said, Dave, do you think when Jesus told you to repay evil with good and to speak kindly to those who revile you, that he had your mockery of Muslims in mind?
Where did he say speak kindly to those who revile you in a way that he meant never rebuke people? Because if so, then he would be a total hypocrite, according to your understanding.
Why stuttering?
Jesus viciously rebuked people. You know what he focused on? And matter of fact, this isn't just Jesus. This is the entire Bible. You go Old Testament prophets, New Testament, Paul, the apostles, the people who are most brutally mocked and ridiculed. There are a couple, but at the top of the list, hypocritical religious leaders. The number 2 biggest target, oppressors, people who are oppressing others. Those were the targets of mockery, ridicule, brutal rebuke. And guess what? If the criteria for biblical mockery and rebuke is being a hypocritical religious leader who's oppressing others, Muhammad is the all-time target of mockery, according to the Bible. So, nice try, Monitoring Hysteria.
Mr. Monitoring Hysteria. Black Milky says, how come only Muslim flags have weapons on them? Hezbollah has a tank. Saudis and Hamas have swords. Is it because they're peaceful? How don't people see this? It is, I must say, it's not only Muslim flags, but it's dominantly Muslim flags. I recently saw an image of countries with weapons on flags. I can think of one country that has an AK or something on their flag. that is not a Muslim country, but rather a communist country like Angola. Yeah, but yeah, it's often it's known to be on Saudi Arabia and Hamas and some of these other things because of their whole pride with violence. But yeah. Rabbi Nabil Hijab. Hey, Rabbi Nabil Hijab. Hey, what's up, Nabil Hijab? How you doing, Nabil Hijab? In the name of the Arabs, Husseini expressed a desire to join in the Nazis' anti-Jewish boycott. Righteous Victims, page 125. Twinkelstein said there is no anti-Semitism in that book, yet the main antagonist is the Husseinis. That's true. This did come up during the debate. There is a section actually in this debate where they are talking about the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, Husseini. Husseini, and this is something that needs to be talked about further. The guy had some really, really sick, twisted, messed up ideas, and he was a friend of the Nazis, and he was the leader of the Palestinian Arab movement at the time. That's who we are. And today you can see them being allies again. Ari Wasserman said, Bibi, Israel leads the world in desalination technology.
They do.
They're
light years ahead of everyone else.
Call me Muslim crybaby. Ms. said, not about college students or Islam. This is about humanity. I'm not Muslim or teenager. It is clear as day that Israel is committing disgusting acts. 80% of buildings got destroyed. Thousands starving.
Thousands starving? Because we watch video clips by them and they're like, oh, we don't like your stupid food. You need to bring us better food. Hand us better food, you infidels.
Now, here's the thing. I recommend everyone to follow Imshin on Twitter, now known as X. This account, this is what I'm talking about here, right here. This is the account at IMSHIN, Amateur Gaza Watcher. She documents and always posts things that Gazans post on social media and shows them to the world, including their food, their restaurants. Before the war, she would always post videos and footage from their their buildings and their lifestyle and pools and all the fun that they're having and so on. If you want to have an actual look at what Gazans themselves share instead of what people say about Gaza, I would suggest following this account because she follows this stuff very, very closely. Don't listen to people who are not familiar but who just like to speak about it. Just look at what they are sharing and then say this again. In terms of Israel committing disgusting acts, I don't see any proof. I don't see any evidence for Israel committing disgusting acts. I see a well-organized, targeted, precise, well-done operation in response to terrorism, and terrorism that is on such a horrible level that there can be no compromise. It must be destroyed. And a terrorist organization that embeds itself with the civilian population and wants to make sure to always have the ability to attack Israel, to capture hostages, to rape Israelis, and so on. A terrorist organization that asked for this themselves, that never was interested in peace. Israel is doing the right thing in dealing with this. If you think that Israel is committing heinous acts and war crimes and that this is a genocide or whatever it is, I'm sure we can see the results of that when the ICJ goes through with their court proceedings. And good luck with that.
And the question, as usual, would pop up again. All right. The situation that Israel is in is there has been lots of terrorists crossed the border, went over, under, and through it, slaughtered tons of people, then ran and hid in tunnels, hid behind civilians. What should Israel do? Because every person who's saying things like this, the goal seems to be, we'll just ceasefire. And what message does that send? Ms., you can be sympathetic towards people and realize that if you at all want what's best for people in that area, sending the message to Hamas, hey, if you guys kill a bunch of our people and run and hide, we'll let you go after a couple months, then you can do it again.
Oh, by the way,
if that's the message you send to people, why are you acting like you care about the people there? Because that perpetuates the trajectory.
Yes. And by the way, a very important thing to correct here. Your super chat says 80% of buildings destroyed. This is false. I just double checked once again. Pretty sure that was. I was pretty sure that was wrong. I just checked again, and that is not true. There is a report from one source which says that in the north, between 70 and 80% of buildings are damaged or destroyed. And then there is another that says nearly 70% of Gaza, the city, not the Gaza Strip, are damaged or destroyed. There is no report which says 80% of buildings in the Gaza Strip are destroyed. There's a huge difference between damaged and destroyed, too.
So the Miz has demonstrated his reliability, and he's about as reliable as Norman Finkelstein.
Yes. So
spreading Hamas propaganda on this channel. But thank you for the super chat.
I'm happy with addressing the criticism, but at least just get it right and stop repeating propaganda, terrible propaganda that you hear from dangerous terrorist organizations and their helpers on social media. This is a completely false claim. Correct it.
Yeah, you might as well bring up, like, what about the 100-to-1 ratio that Hijab pointed out improved?
D. Boudreau says, remember when they said cowards would never do a ground invasion but only attack from the sky? You know, like the Twin Tower cowards, right? Do you remember, David? Do you remember the first weeks after October 7? Even Mohammed Hijab and some other prominent people that were like, oh, they would never dare. They would never even go in there because they're cowards. They can only bomb. They can never go.
And then they go in there. Oh, we can't believe they're going in there. How dare they?
Why did you go in there?
We're going into Ramah too. No, don't do it.
Why would you go in there? Why would you do this? White Lily said Netanyahu needs to save face. That's why he's going hard on Hamas. So that's what she said. He realized his mistake with appeasing them. Sure he did. Richard Walker, U.S. sends $10 billion to Iran today, funding both sides, heard on the Quad today. I did see that there was a report that Biden is unfreezing, unsanctioning funds for Iran. And I don't know enough about it to make a comment on it, but it seems like if there was a way to prevent that, it would probably be the right time to do that. But I have to know more about this issue than to talk about it. Deep learner, let's agree on the name Mormon Finkelstein. Fickelstein. Mormon Fickelstein. Fickelstein. Okay, yeah. Now I get it. Sasboaz, AP, have you heard of Timur Ackland YouTube channel?
How about Mormon Tinklestein would be best.
Yes. Biden, Iran, buns. Let's see. I'm curious right now. The old waiver let Iraq import electricity. Biden changed the rules, allowing the money to leave escrow, be converted to euros, and end up in Iran. Biden allows Iran. Yeah, I have to read more about this, but Biden's sanctions waiver can award billions to Iran. So it was something that was planned a while ago and is being implemented now. I don't know enough to comment on it. I have to see. Nathaniel Robinson, MREs are made for people in war. Sounds like it would be perfect for Gaza at war. But no, you're supposed to drop entire restaurants there. You're supposed to drop fresh meals.
We want McDonald's. We want McDonald's, not MREs.
You're supposed to drop a prefabricated, expensive American restaurant drop there and also send cooks that cook the food right there and give $200 meals for every person for free.
Supposed to fly in celebrity chefs. And
Yes.
have a chef competition for who cooks the most delicious food for the people
Also,
or Hamas.
and also send strippers there to entertain the people. Gretzky said, for those who couldn't get anything done on October 7th, of course, yeah. Just help them all the way while you're at it. Just do whatever you can. And Gretzky made a super chat. Thank you so much. Ari the Believer says, it is God who is the ultimate reason. Things and knowledge of God is no less the beginning of science than his essence. Leibniz, what do you think, AP? It is God who is the ultimate reason. Things and the knowledge of God is no less the beginning of science than his essence. Leibniz, what do you think, AP? I would need to read this statement one more time when I'm not streaming to think about it and make a comment on it. Because whenever I'm streaming, I cannot pay attention to things like these that I'm reading in the moment. It's very weird. I don't know. I feel like I have a significantly harder time understanding things when I'm live. But I will save this.
In your defense, Leibniz is not easy to understand.
I know. That's that. And in my defense, my first experience with Leibniz were little biscuits in Germany that are called Leibniz. The science,
cool little tidbit about Leibniz. He was so focused on his work. I mean, in addition to being the co-inventor of calculus and involved in science and philosophy and everything, he kept up a steady, ongoing correspondence with over 1,000 people. But he was so dedicated to not wasting any time from his work that he had a toilet built into his desk chair, so he didn't have to get up and go to the bathroom. He could just go right where he's sitting and not be interrupted from his work.
Wait, what was it with John Stuart Mill and his whole thing? Wasn't he wasn't he raised under circumstances which
oh yeah, that was the parents, like, we're going to raise the ultimate genius scholar of all time, and gave him a mental breakdown.
Wasn't this, it was they raised him in isolation, right? And just made him read things.
Yeah, he was reading Plato's Republic in Greek when he was 5 and crap. It was insane. But yeah, he eventually, you can't do that.
Child abuse by today's standards.
You eventually get people a mental breakdown, which is what happened.
It was literally child abuse. People did interesting things. So this is when somebody brings up Leibniz, this is what I think about, because of my childhood in Germany.
Was that butter keks? What the heck is a butter kek?
It's butter cakes. It's a biscuit.
Yeah.
A biscuit. These things are delicious, man. I grew up eating these. So if you can complain, it uses to them. That's true. So MREs are good enough for US troops, but not for Hamas. Lofty standards for someone who is being genocided. Yeah, I know that. Of course, US troops can eat something crappy like MREs, but you shouldn't give something like that to people with high expectations and high standards, like the people of Gaza.
No, you should drop in whole cows so that they can cook them up.
Yeah. Indeed. Govan says, make a friend of it. The show in the US that's about to pop off the distress of nations with perplexity. Yes, I agree. Oh my God, terrible times ahead in the US.
Dude, it's an election year. Oh my goodness. We might have to figure out, because I'm not terribly interested in talking about the politics stuff, but it's going to be such an important topic. We might have to think of some, let's say, politics adjacent topics, stuff that is actually relevant that we're interested in, that goes on. So, yeah.
You know what? Why not just be okay with and ride with the fact that when everyone is talking about politics, we are the ones who just don't talk about it.
Yeah, we refuse to talk about it and call everyone idiots who are talking about it.
I don't want to talk about the elections. I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to do that. You hear enough of it everywhere. I don't want to be another chamber where that is all we're talking about. Based Autistic says, hey, love you guys stuff. Any advice for people who want to start making content?
Be like Donald Trump. Be like Donald Trump. Sorry. You were saying we shouldn't go into politics.
So who do you think is going to be just kidding. IP recommended doing videos rather than writing books. God bless you both. Yeah, writing books is for losers. That's what Andrew Tate said.
Yeah, it's an outdated method of sharing information.
Yeah, and only losers read books. It's a waste of time. That's what Andrew Tate, the great leader, said. So making videos is probably the better idea here. And you have to figure out a way to appeal to as many people as possible in a short time. And the best way to do it is to just make your content as dumb as possible so that everyone can easily consume it and come back to watch it and not make it intelligent. Like that's what I'm doing, for example. Like I try to make my content as stupid as possible.
He does a good job too.
Just kidding. I'm sorry, David. Do you have any serious recommendations?
Oh yeah. As far as serious stuff, we're kind of joking about the distinction on whether you should be writing or something. A lot of that's going to come down to your personality and so on.
Ignore everything I just said. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. A lot of, because guess what? Some people are great at writing books or articles, and then they get on YouTube and they just don't have the right personality for it. So one, you gotta think, do you have the right personality for YouTube? One is kind of get started. You can watch a bunch of tutorials. There are entire YouTube channels that are meant on giving advice on taking you through the entire process of starting a channel and how to make videos and so on. So I do those. Figure out what you're interested in. You don't want to be covering every random thing that pops into your mind, or you get no target audience. In other words, the algorithm can't even figure out what your channel's about. So if you post a video and it's about loving ramen noodles, and then you post another video and it's about the Israel war, and then you post another video and it's about something completely different, the algorithm can't figure out what your channel's about in terms of even recommending your content. So figure out what you're interested in, what you want to talk about. Learn all the stuff that other people have figured out. And again, you can find channels that deal with this, because there's no need in completely reinventing things. Other people, I had to learn things on my own at the beginning, but you don't have to learn what other people have already learned. And then I would say figure out which channels you like and start copying what you like about those channels, and then just start making videos. Okay, understanding you're not going to get it's not going to work out well. You have to keep at it and keep at it and keep at it, and eventually you reach a kind of threshold and break through it.
When I said, do you have any serious advice, I didn't ask for.
I gave extremely serious advice. I didn't know. Oh, either you have to joke for 10 minutes or just not give any actual relevant advice.
I can't believe you actually did a whole thing there, whole lecture there. Hey, look at this terrible white colonizer.
That is the whitest person I've ever seen in my life, except for Mehdi Hasan.
This terrible white colonizer, occupier. Go back to Europe. Look at this.
The only person whiter than this guy was Prophet Muhammad.
Blue Moon says the Palestinians are the most privileged groups on the earth. Alone. Change my mind. Well, I would say that some people are more privileged or entitled, if you may want to call it, so, such as Republicans. Just kidding. K-pop Palette says, why is daylight savings a thing? Pretty sure roosters don't care about what time the government says it is. They will wake you up when the sun rises. It's because that's the way nature determined it. That's how daylight savings became a thing. Nature determined that it should be a thing, and then it became a thing.
Yeah, I say daylight savings time should be abolished. It's stupid.
Yeah. or just abolish days. CJ says it's Ramadan. They don't need food. They don't.
What are
need
you
no
talking
food.
about? They need more food than ever. That's the real reason this guy's complaining about the MRE. He's used to like piles and piles of delicious fatty food, and they're giving him a healthy MRE.
When you point this out, Muslims genuinely do not understand what your problem is, because they don't understand what fasting actually is in the pre-Islamic.
I see that 1,000 times a day. Yeah, every time I say, "Hey guys, what are you doing? Gorging yourself with food? Blah 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 blah. What are you doing? Why are you calling it fasting?" But Jesus fasted over and over again, every single day, every single time I point it. Why are you condemning fasting? I'm not condemning fasting. I'm saying what you're doing is not fasting. That's not what it is. And they'll go, "Well, what are you talking about? You're condemning fasting and saying it's unhealthy. But look at this study that shows that fasting is healthy." Yeah, fasting is what you're doing, gorging yourself with 2 Thanksgiving meals per day for an entire month, is not fasting. My goodness.
Yeah. It is extremely arbitrary, and it is usually celebrated with huge, gigantic meals, which defeats the entire purpose of the fasting. So that's not how it's done outside of Islam.
Tenebris said metaphorically fasting. It's metaphysically fasting. It's a metaphysical matter.
Paboom says, "Hallelujah, Mehdi is back." Wait, no, that's not him. Blue Moon says, "Isn't it funny that Hassan colonized the UK and now colonized the USA, both countries and cultures that are not his? That's why I always say decolonize Europe." Yak Yak says, "Has Sam Shamoun insulted your mothers and accused them of doing mutar with the Shia for your siding with Israel over Hamas yet?" He should. Bahamut says, "Mandy is such a smug, know-it-all, pro-bomb hack." Interesting. Does he put bombs into cubes? I haven't seen it. Daniel High Kick a Pikachu says, "As expert, why will my leather straps be hurting?" Well, it may have to do with the way you sleep. Blue Moon says, "Note how he mentioned targeting churches twice. He's doing it to tell the Christians they are targeting you. He's vile." He is indeed.
And we've brought this up before. Like the goal of but think about the Christians, and think about the goal for these people is not, "Hey, we really need to take care of these people." It's, we understand people in the rest of the world care about the civilians, whether they're Muslims or Christians and so on, and we're going to use that to manipulate them into letting Hamas off the hook.
Liar! You're a liar!
McCallum LOL made a super chat. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Jesse here from Aisha's Bar. From Aisha Bar said, "Give them live turkeys and Spinal Tap tapes as the musical video of the week." That sounds good. I would enjoy that. Script Colby says, for the children."
If I have to choose between 1 billion children and a cow.
Listen, I am doing this for the children. Script Colby,
You should be afraid of me.
I need to have some sound bites of him on here.
Yeah, he's awesome. You definitely need I choose the cow on there.
Yeah, I will choose the cow. Script Colby gifted 5 Apostate Prophet membership. Thank you so much for expanding the cults. Soon we will start a compound where we can do all kinds of weird things in this cult.
Hey, I think there's a new Jim Jones movie coming out on Netflix you might want to check out.
Oh yes,
I saw an advertisement. It was called like Jim or something like that. So I was like, wait, is that Jim Jones? But it was about starting a cult. So,
oh, that's nice. I need to check that out. Script Colby said, "Thanks for introducing me to normal fecal stink." I wish you would send me some bananas. Dove Bleichfeld said, "How absurd to think that Israel would strike with a bomb to kill 4 children. Such a bomb would rather kill 500 in a hospital." there are honestly people going around and throwing around terms like carpet bombing right now, for example, which just shows that people don't understand what they're talking about and just using anything that they can appeal to. If Israel was carpet bombing and indiscriminately killing people, civilians, right now, with carpet bombing would look very, very different. It would look very different. Very, very different. There wouldn't be damaged buildings. The place would be flattened. There wouldn't be safe zones. There would be corpses everywhere. Whatever, man. What use is there to explaining things anyway? Lonnie Crow said, regarding Israel targeting civilians, there is a new short video that shows how IDF uses its drones on Rudy Rockman channel. He is an Israeli sniper. I have to check it out. I have to check that out right here. Rudy Rockman. I will check that out right here. I will see it. I will have a look at it. Oh, I saw this guy before. Israeli drones over Gaza inside look. What did it?
So we're here in Gaza.
Wait a minute. I'm wondering, maybe you should just watch this. Let's see. This is only 3 minutes long.
With one of my friends here. He's a soldier named Harel in the special forces at the drones, and he's going to show us how he looks through the drones at the people here in Gaza.
I'm gonna take zoom in and I'm gonna show you. This is one of the school that the people here as civilians, and what we would like to do is to find the Hamas terrorist.
So this is live.
Yes. They're the civilians.
Dang, they got drones all over there. These guys looking for Hamas.
You know what's so stupid? Recently, when some incident happened, somebody, the IDF posted a video of their drone footage at night, and then one of the top tweets in response to it was like, "Look at this! Look at how they're dehumanizing the Palestinians. They got used to dehumanizing them. Look at this." And the point there being that just them looking, just overlooking with a camera, the war zone is apparently already dehumanization. You don't even have to bomb anything. That's it.
I found a terrorist that goes from the school and take boxes for one of their tunnel from this hole. I'm gonna show you. This is one of the house of a terrorist, right? Here we have a tunnel inside of the house.
So we can see that the only house destroyed here is the...
Holy, wait a minute. Wow.
Terrorist, right? Here we have a tunnel inside of the house.
So we can see that the only house destroyed here is the house of the terrorists.
And look, we don't hurt other houses.
So you're specifically targeting...
Does this look like carpet bombing? Anyone who's making those stupid accusations here?
Hamas. Explain to me, in situations where there are civilians next to Hamas terrorists, what do you do?
This is a problem. Even we see a terrorist with the civilians, we don't shoot on civilians that are innocent. Yesterday, he called for 4 children, and we see one of Hamas terrorists that we wanna go down him, and we don't shoot. We just don't shoot. Hamas control this building. Everything goes to the tunnels. And like they play with us.
So they're using the kids,
yes,
to protect themselves because they know that you can't attack.
It's a problem.
This is precisely what is being meant when Israel says using civilians as human shields. It's not like this stupid thing that some people like Mohammed Hijab described, where they say, "Oh, they're not strapping humans on their own bodies to protect themselves." That's not what is being meant. Obviously, what is being talked about is precisely what he just said here. Hamas operates in the building, and they specifically use kids and others for their own protection, to move in situations where the IDF would not shoot at them, would not target them.
And the kids,
Yes,
to protect themselves
And we
because they
are-
know that you can't attack.
it's a problem.
So Hamas puts you in an impossible situation.
Yes.
You're fighting them
You-
in
you can
war.
see.
So what's your message for the world that says that we're carpet bombing and we're attacking civilians and that we're
Here you-
committing
you can-
genocide?
Here you can see the truth in front of your eyes. Like, look at the civilians. They have cars. Get some food.
Wait a minute.
No.
What,
No.
this
This
can't
is
be
not
real.
what I saw on Twitter.
This can't be real. On Twitter, I saw that everything looks great and dark, and there is no place to go. Everything is destroyed. No humans are even alive anymore. It's like a scene from a post-apocalyptic.
Looks
horror
like
movie.
looks like something from like Mad Max.
Yeah, this can't be real. This must be fake. This is AI.
Get some food. You see the woman. Somebody sells something, maybe bagels.
So what you can see is that we're in a sad
How there are kids playing. This can't be real. They must be all dead.
reality of war, where unfortunately the consequences of war.
Those kids are CGI.
Oh, okay.
It's not what any of us want to see, but when we're thrown into a war where the enemy is trying to kill as many Israelis, as many Jews as they want, and they say so outwardly, we have no other choice but to defend ourselves. And this is what war looks like. This is why we need to do everything we can to prevent war from happening again.
I like
That's
this
an
guy.
interesting. That's an interesting ending right there. Like, this is war and this sucks, which is why we need to do what we're doing now to make sure we don't have to do this again. What?
Just the way I read this comment here. The
Better
idea
than
of
hummus.
Palestine is better than hummus. I like this guy. Who just recommended this? Who was this? Loney Crow. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate this. I will look.
Yeah, this was just 8 hours ago too. We
Yeah.
just posted this.
This is very relevant. Very
We might
relevant.
need to share some of this guy's stuff, or you should invite this guy to join you live, and you can get him
Yes,
some more
yes.
subscribers.
That could be this is a very good insight here. Just this thing. Obviously, sneaky activity going on.
A terrorist that goes from the school and take boxes for one of their tunnel from this hole. I'm gonna show you. This is one of the house of a terrorist, right? Here we have a tunnel inside of the house.
So we can see that the only house destroyed here is the house of the terrorists.
That's a precision strike right there. There goes your stupid carpet bombing theory. Yeah. So I subscribed. Nice, good stuff. John Joy said, "Get rid of that mustache, or I'll call in
INS.
I'll call INS and
You mean ICE.
CPS on your family." You're on final notice. You're not sleeping tonight, apes. Alfonso Laporte debating Norm is like playing chess with a pigeon. No, it's not. It's like playing chess with a baby in the body of a grandpa. Cars in depth said Norm made being a Judenrat Jew his career. It's a big accusation right there. Jeremy Mott said this is why self-educated people tend to be smarter than the experts. They actually study the material. It depends. I would say, you know what? I would say very more often than not. This is not entirely true. Destiny is a very special case. Destiny is a very special case. The guy is very, 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 very intelligent and very thorough. Seed of Iblis says Twinklestein has the reading comprehension of a hamster. YB Abnorman is very sick. It's so obvious, but who in their right mind would debate the asylum inmates? Oh yes, Piers debates them daily for ratings. Yeah. And see, even David himself, who thinks that Destiny is a completely unacceptable, immoral degenerate.
I see blue hair. I can't hear anything else you're saying from then on.
But even he thinks Destiny is very, very smart and well spoken. Although he also thinks that Destiny is a degenerate.
Yeah, blue hair.
Yep. Farfur the Fowl said Finkelstein is touted as this prestigious scholar and idolized by Max Blumenthal and Aaron Maid. Why would you even bring up Max Blumenthal, who is like the ultimate fraud? He got absolutely destroyed by Mr. Barilla. Yes, he did. Mr. Barilla. Jeremy Mott, by the way, Jews are being arrested in South Africa. Oh, I saw some report of South Africa saying that anyone who participates in Israel, anyone who goes to Israel to serve in the IDF and comes back to South Africa will be arrested and punished. South Africa has a very, very interesting way of handling their past.
South Africa threatens to arrest dual citizens serving in IDF.
Yeah. D. Bodro said Israel is the only country that the world expects to provide food, water, electric, and gas to their attackers. Yeah, sometimes I really want to say, you know what? There are international laws, many of them in place for good reasons. But in a case where you have a population that is besides you, that openly and deliberately attacks you and vows to eradicate you, you are still expected to treat them in the most humane way, and you actually abide by it. I don't know. It's a complicated topic. If I speak. Knox said Finkelstein means sparkling stone in Yiddish. Yes, it does, actually. It's because it's German.
Means sparkling showers.
Muslims kiss a stone, draw your own conclusions. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Blue Moon says, I think Finkelstein is actually saying that on 10/7 we all saw them taking kids. There is no if. Yeah. No, he's saying that.
No.
What he's saying is you're a rat if you accuse them of taking hostages. Sancho, he accuses him of being a rat just for making a condemnation and saying if true, because how dare you assume it and make a condemnation? If you find it out, then we can talk about it once again. But you can't accuse, because Hamas are freedom fighters. Sancho Panza said arrogant and deceptive clowns like Finkel and all of these anti-Jewish people would be so much more respectable if they just admit that they simply hate Jews. It's so tiring watching their gymnastics. Yeah. I don't want to watch an old man who can barely move do gymnastics anyway. Gwyneth Isaacs says, thank you for all your hard work. It's appreciated. No, thank you. Thank you. Kipapal said, the Natural Carta think that anti-Semitism started only after Zionism. Well, they are ridiculously stupid. And yes, I know I'm supposed to respect a group that is kind of religious and scholarly and all of that, but I don't think that there's much that is redeeming about those absolute imbeciles. Homo Momo. says Hitler reportedly loved Islam. Wonder. Yeah, I actually made a video in the past about Carl Jung and how he how he talked about Hitler and Muhammad. He made some very interesting points. Carl Jung compared Muhammad to Hitler and Islam to Nazi ideology. Gornos Bulldozer Hegel is responsible for the ideology behind Marxism and the third positionists, the fascists. Also, most of his work is ideobabble. There you go. There you have it in your face, David.
You know who else is responsible for Marxism? Another German philosopher, Marx. Anyway.
Piers and Lewinsky Eugene said, Dave, can you make a critic video on Spinoza's God? No, because he loves Spinoza.
Very unlikely.
If you actually sat down and made a video about Spinoza in that way, I'm pretty sure nobody would watch it. because
I agree completely. if you did, you'd have to be the shocking truth about
yeah, it's
Spinoza's God or something.
Yeah, I can't think of
wouldn't-
anyone.
you wouldn't even this is a situation where, because so few people would know who Spinoza is, that you wouldn't even use the name. You'd say this shocking view of this philosopher on such and such.
Yeah. Plus, it's way too.
Why Spinoza's God shocked everyone.
It's too unnecessarily complex, and I don't know, won't even attract the average person. Not even people who are interested in philosophy, I would say. Carlo Magno, hey AP David Wood, if they made a movie about you guys, so who would play you? I would be played by Kanye West, obviously. David, I don't know.
Yeah, Kanye for AP, and you're gonna have to get a young Dolph Lundgren to play me.
There you go. Hope that answers the question. Jasper Paolo Bardo says, David Wood, I'm just getting into apologetic debates. Not gonna lie, how you destroyed Nader Ahmed was epic. Some would say you ran away. LOL.
That's what Nadir would always do. In the process of being completely destroyed, he would challenge you to 8 more debates, and then as soon as you said, "Look, man, not doing it," everyone is running from me. Wow. But dude, keep in mind when I talk about Dawa guys, they come out, they have this brief bit of popularity, and then people catch on to how they work and so on, and then they destroy them, and then these guys disappear. Nadir keeps coming back, but he was like that. He was popular for a while in certain circles back in like 2000, I don't know, 2006, 2007, something like that. Got popular for a little while, doing the same thing. Everyone's running around online. Everyone is running from me. Every scholar is running from me. And people eventually caught on to that and made fun of him. But then, like, when Nadir comes back, he uses the exact same method because people have completely forgotten about him. So he gets to come and like try the same thing over. I'm Nadir. Everyone's been running from me for years. And a bunch, you will have it's fewer and fewer people each time fall for it. But it will be like, oh, wow, people must be running from him because he says so. And then they catch on and find out he's a total dope.
That's funny. I recently received a bunch of emails from him that I completely ignored. And then he's like, you see, this is just proof that he ignores me because he's running, because he's scared.
The proof is in the shekels, Nadir. The proof is in the shekels. You ain't got none of these, Nadir, because no one likes you. What?
Nothing. Who was that? Somebody said, oh, Tenebris Sin said Anya Taylor Joy for David Wood. Do you know who that is?
No, what's that?
So this person should play you in a movie.
She's playing Furiosa. I know the face. That's the chick who's playing Furiosa in Mad Max Furiosa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Charlize Theron played her when she's grown up. Then they're doing a prequel, and they got this chick to play her.
Yeah.
This chick
does look like you, though. Yeah, does look
Yeah.
like you. Kind of.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Looks exactly the same, I would say, actually. Let's see. If I can put these, make it bigger and here side by side somehow. Anyway, Gornos Bulldozer said, I think someone should draw Yoi style art of Momo. They should definitely. They should. Once they figure out, they definitely should. No idea what that is. I don't remember what it is, but yes. Gwyneth Isaac said IRA has guns on their flags. Oh wait, hang on. Stefan the Pelted said you should add Norman's Motormouth to your soundboard. I should.
Yeah, that yaoi stuff, that's all that like I don't know, is it Korean? Doesn't look exactly anime, it looks different, but it's in the ballpark. I don't understand the different terms for the different cartoons, but yeah, you can make some Muhammad type stuff for that.
Inshallah. Yeah, she is a good actress. She wasn't in this one show. What was that called? The Queen's Gambit. I loved that. Our Canada became a YouTube member. Hey, welcome to the cult. There is no way out. If you leave, you will be. Yes. Chris Aleda Kochbeck Schwartz said, please accept my jizya, mein Freunde. Good. You have saved yourself from death. Thank you. Appreciate it. Chrome said, respect, appreciation, keep showing truth. Why did you spell it appreciation? Keep showing truth. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. But I will refund this super chat because of the way you misspelled appreciation. So look out for that. Gorno's Bulldozer said you should start a Command and Conquer playthrough. Hey, somebody who knows about Command and Conquer. That's amazing. I was a child when that was around. And I loved it.
I was a child when I played Pac-Man on an Atari 2600.
Jack Ray said, I bought a box of King Solomon dates just from seeing David Wood's reaction to them. They are really good dates. Oh.
Yeah, they've been selling out of dates because Ali Dawa ran his mouth about them, and then we did a little video on Your Brother in Christ channel, and we all tried the dates and concluded they were delicious, and then they started selling out of these dates. So thank you, Ali Dawa. You've single-handedly saved the King Solomon Dates Company.
Nice. What would King Solomon do without Ali Dawa? K-pop Pilot said, is Electro Boom a Muslim? He's got good dawa. Yeah, most likely is. No idea what or who that is, but yes, most likely, I would say. Gorno's Bulldozer said, Marx got his ideas from Hegel. That's what they all say.
Wrong.
Hey, we said no politics, man. Yes. Anything else you want to add before we leave, David Wood?
It's David Dizelstein, just to be clear.
Mr. Dizelstein, please stop. So if there is nothing else, I would say
tomorrow's Sneeko Day tomorrow.
They're watching Netflix.
Tomorrow is Sneeko Day. Tomorrow we will watch Sneeko Kaliko on David's channel and review his interactions with the people where the great scholar Sneeko schools people at Speaker's Corner, and also has discussions with ignorant people who are just trying to find out about the faith, like Al-Dawa and Muhammad Hijab. I don't know if we're going to come to that, but we will look at the Honorable Sneeko tomorrow on David Wood's channel. So stay tuned for that. And yes, victory to Israel. And Sid Dave said Muslims always defend secularism, democracy, multiculturalism when they are in a minority. Hey, stop being Islamophobic, man.
Guys, it's exactly the pattern laid down by Muhammad when he was the minority in Mecca who couldn't win a battle with the unbelievers. It was, hey guys, let's get along, not fight over this. God will judge. And then once he had a more powerful army, then it's everyone has to submit or be violently. I mean, everyone has to be violently subjugated.
I need to check my contract to see if I mentioned Israel and Zionism often enough to get my bonus for this live stream from Mossad.
Yeah, I want my bonus too. How many? Yeah, someone's got to count. But you can do that in the search afterwards.
Yeah,
we can to see what kind of bonuses we've earned.
We can probably do that. Oh, I also need to.
Did you say we could probably do that?
We can probably do that. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, I can display this here as well. So this can, as long as I have this actually doubles my reward for live streams if I wear this here. So I have this, and yeah, let's see. Hope I'll get some good amount of money from Mossad for this live stream. And tomorrow we will do more on David's channel.
Sneeko!
And I didn't mean to call him a moron. I just said more on David's channel. So Leo Rack became a YouTube member of this channel. Thank you for joining the cult. I hope you know what you're getting into. And Gorno's Bulldozer said yaoi is Japanese term for man-on-man anime manga.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, the pictures were guys. I just assumed those were like screenshots from cartoons or something, but okay. That makes sense, yeah.
Thomas said Joseph Heller would call Finkelstein an odious schlump, I hope. Interesting. That's what David would also say. All right. With that said, thanks everyone. Have a fantastic day. And as always,
go for the shekels.
And stay away from Islam.
But not the shekels.